So we good to go?
Yep.
Okay, so good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for AOS and Warhammer 40k from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 77. It is a primarily 40k show with a ton of AOS news. And our main topic is the Black Legion. So the new Chaos Space Marine supplement, I'm pretty excited about it. I know it got mixed reviews, but we'll get to that later. As usual, I am Chris at CanHammer Chris on Twitter, and my co-host is...
Logan at OnePlus Logan on Twitter.
Yep, our website is www.oneplusarmor.com. From there, you can find links to all the stuff we talk about, like our events and our YouTube page and all those good stuff that we do on the online communities. So we're going to get right into our hobby cred, what we've been up to. Our last show was Adepticon. The one before that was kind of a one-off show as well. So we're going to be kind of getting to the old format, covering a lot of news, getting caught up on emails and things like that. So I'll hand it over to you, Logan. What kind of hobby cred you've been doing the last little while?
Right, so we were talking on the last show about Adepticon. I did an airbrushing course and a weathering course. So I, of course, spent an ungodly amount of money and bought an airbrush, a compressor, and a full range of miniature paints. So I've been busy with that. I finished all of my marker drone conversions. I've got all of them painted. And I've been playing around with the airbrush, so I've done like some basic OSL effects on all of my suits for their the engines, for some of the guns and everything. So I'm like, it's not great, but it's a really good start into something
I think
that
it's great.
could be better. I'm just
I think it
really
looks
happy
good.
because it adds a huge, it's a huge visual change to my army. Because otherwise, it's like it's white and red, and like some of the guns are black. But this really makes it pop. Because I used a sort of a turquoise bluish, like a dark turquoise, I guess, with just a white, a solid white in the middle for it for the glow effect coming out of the engines on the barrels of the burst cannons. I think it looks awesome.
So OSL, for those that don't know, is object source lighting.
Yeah,
So you're basically taking like a light blue color and you're kind of spraying it around like a lamp or a vent or something like that, and
exactly.
then you're hitting a white spray in the middle, correct?
Actually,
To kind of make
I've
it
got
look.
them right behind me here. I'll pull one out. We can take a look at it.
So you hear a lot of banging, but yeah. So
You do your hobby. I'm going to mute myself, and we'll come back to that.
professional. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. He'll show it off. It's one of the things about the airbrush is like as long as his army is super stark white, and then so by adding in the weathering and the OSL, it really makes him pop and look fantastic. So what I've been doing, it's been kind of an interesting week. I'm finishing up my demon army. I got a whole bunch of Nurglings to paint. It's kind of soul crushing, but so I've been going over them. I started off doing some green, and then I switched. I've been using it's what Anthonian camo shade, which is recommended by Dan Platt, is kind of like my wash on my Nurgle stuff. So I've been kind of just pumping through that. I got to get one Demon Prince, Epidemius, 5 Furies, a ton of Nurglings, and 10 Plague Bearers done. They're on the way. I actually bought an AdMech army with my gift cards from Adepticon.
Nice.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. I posted up online. I was like, "Oh, look what I bought! I'm gonna build this." And somebody said, "You bought filth with filth," because I guess Advec is considered one of the top books out there. I don't know. Nobody here plays it, right? I've never actually played against it, so
I'm actually filming a battle report on Thursday night against AdMech.
yeah, you'll have to come back next week or
Yeah.
2 weeks from now and fill us in because it's pretty solid. So that's what I've been doing for the hobby wise. There's some super secret projects on the go and a lot of planning for the team tournaments and stuff. So I'll hand it back to you about your OSL.
Yeah. So this is one of my Riptides.
So sorry for the guys on iTunes that are listening to this. You have to come on our YouTube or live stream to see
Yeah,
some
check
of
it
these
out.
beautiful pictures.
So we got a Riptide. You can see the paint scheme. He's got some nice basing and whatnot. But it's sort of plain, right? It jumps out, but it's not anything super special. So I had a little bit of a glow on the end of the gun, not too much. It doesn't go too far. It's just to sort of add some definition to it. But on all the engines, I did
Ooh,
this.
I
So
like the engines a
yeah, it's
lot.
sort of like a plasma glow from it. So you can see it's a little bit around, like glowing onto the sides there. It's a lot more difficult to do than it looks, just because it's so easy to overspray too much. So it was like quite a bit of touching up by spraying white over places
Yeah,
where I
yeah.
screwed up. But I'm happy with it. It's a really good start for it, and it's made a huge difference just on how the arm looks when it's all.
So how many hours would you say you've put into doing the basic glow effect? Has this been like 2 hours a day, an
Oh,
8 hour session? Like what
for
is your
this,
airbrush?
No, this takes no time at all. That's the crazy part about it. Like you've got your model painted, and you want to do this. It literally like 2 3 minutes per model. Yeah, airbrushing is super fast for this kind of stuff. Again, this is not top notch work by any stretch,
Well,
but
yeah,
like
you're an
I
like
like I
a
yeah I
newbie, but
just
it's
started doing
fine to
it.
be a newbie, right, and
Yeah.
learn things. I think it looks
Yeah, no,
fantastic.
it's really quick. I mean, obviously, it's going to take many years to be able to do it as effectively as some of the really nice stuff you see out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just something super basic like this. You take your brush, you get your one color, the darkest one, spray it where you want. You do however you want to do it. Get the glow. Move your model around, move your brush around to get the angles you want. Give that a couple of minutes to dry, or use a hair dryer or something, and then come back on and just do a much lighter color, or a couple colors, but work your way into a brighter color, and just get smaller and smaller each time towards the center of the source.
So are you changing needles every time you get smaller, or are you just doing
No,
it like by distance?
primarily distance, but also adjusting the pressure on your compressor can make a difference for it as well. If you've got higher pressure, you can get a little bit of a finer section. But I
Hmm.
use a very shallow angle needle and a very small nozzle on my brush. I've got the Renegade Chrome from Badger, so it's a point 0.3 millimeter nozzle, and I think a 5 degree needle. So it's a very fine point. It gets down to about quarter inch for spray from sort of a medium distance.
And
So you can get some
that
pretty
one's
good
a
work.
hopper fed, right?
Yes.
So do you like mix the paint in, then you have to clean out your hopper,
Oh yeah.
or do you just add like white to it and mix it in the hopper, or do you have to clean it
No,
out?
I clean it out because I want the solid white in it.
Okay.
The one thing I will say, and if anybody on the stream or listening, has any tips about this, obviously you want to be cleaning your brush as often as possible for airbrushing. That's one of the big things that was like driven home to me from everyone I've spoken to.
Mhm.
If you've got tips and tricks to share about that, I'd really appreciate it. Because right now, I honestly spend more time cleaning that thing. Even just like between colors, not necessarily. I pulled it apart twice to clean it, just give it a thorough rub down. But I spend more time cleaning it between between colors than I do actually painting with it.
Yeah, I think that's the advantage when you do like a whole army at once is that you clean after each color, so you could
Yeah.
kind of go. That's cool. So more on airbrushing from Logan. I do have an airbrush, and I'd like to get into it, but one of these days. So
You
we're gonna
should.
move on to new releases and news and things like that. First thing we're gonna talk about is iToySoldiers.com, who's a part kind of a uh, they kind of sponsor us, but through mutual advertising. So it's a pretty cool gaming website. Check it out. Sign up. You can do events and log a blog and do some painting stuff on there. They've released a whole bunch of new stuff, so go check them out. We also want to give a shout out to Geeks of the North, who's a fellow podcasters from Montreal. They've been shouting out one of our events, Capital City Bloodbath, and they released some good all around gaming content. So check them out, Geeks of the North. Next thing is we're going to go into the AOS news. It's been a few weeks, but first thing is they've released 3 new Bloodbound characters, and the only reason I'm really bringing this up is it's kind of neat because like the Bloodbound kind of came out in a wave, and then now there was nothing for a while. They re-released them. They did the Fortress, and then these 3 new characters came out: the Aspiring Deathbringer, the Exalted Deathbringer, which is not really the clever naming, but and the Slaughter Priest, and they're all pretty solid. They got new War Scrolls. They're in the White Dwarf and in the app, and the models are fantastic. The Aspiring Deathbringer I really like. It almost looks like a classic GW kind of corn model, like almost Chaos Space Marine
Hmm.
style. Like you could definitely put that guy in a Chaos Space Marine army. Nobody'd say nothing. He's really well, nobody would say anything, but he's really cool. So I thought that was just neat to note, though, that it's like they can just like with the new system with not having army books, they can just be like, oh wow, here's 3 Corn Bloodbound characters. That's this month's release or this week's release for that faction. You're like, oh sweet man, I just finished painting my Bloodbound, so I have these 3 new kits to throw in. So I think it's really awesome.
I think that'd be cool if they started doing that for 40K. I mean, they sort of are in that they don't just do army books anymore, but I like because they've adopted the whole data slate thing and they'll release like new versions of it, like we've seen with the Iron Priest and something else. I can't remember what. It'd be cool if they just do these individual model releases for it.
I
So
definitely think
there's
that's
nothing stopping them,
advantageous.
right?
Yeah, it's better to get like one model for your faction every couple of months than like
Exactly, and that's the way.
20 and then nothing.
Yeah, and that's the way Privateer Press does it, right? And they've had great success with it. I know Infinity does similar stuff to that. But I mean, they'd have to do a very similar type of release, though, right? Like when this stuff comes out for AOS, one, the rules are free for the most part, except for I think the war plans or whatever the heck it is, the formations. But also they've got the app as distribution, right? And they don't quite have that for 40K. So maybe we'll see that coming up in the future. It'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I would love 40K to get the AOS treatment, but I would still love 40K to have points and force org charts. I'm just saying that I'd like the AOS treatment as
You'd
terms
like
of
the free rules and the tourney support and all that.
and the release schedule. Yeah, so that's fantastic. Also, the destruction models have come out, and this is getting people back into Age of Sigmar because they are awesome. And I know I'm a fanboy, but they are so
The
good.
models are sick. Yeah,
Yeah, so I just say they're orcs.
they're orcs.
I know it's spelled ORRUKS. I don't know if you have anybody with an English degree. Is it Urux? I
I guess.
I
Yeah.
Orok. I think it's Orok, like
I gotta
orcs,
kill a
but
mosquito here. This might be loud, but keep talking.
that's unfortunate for the mosquito. But anyway, so these guys came out. They're getting three new books. The first book is the Grand Alliance Destruction, which I am the most excited about because I recently got the Grand Alliance.
Death?
No, the
Order.
Order. Oh my god! And I've been pouring over that. It's fantastic. It's well worth the money. I recommend buying it. What they did with the Empire is now they make sense. They've chopped them up. There's like the Devoted of Sigmar, which will be like a war altar, and the Flagellants and warrior priests and all that cool stuff. And they're kind of their own little faction now. And then they have like the Blood Brides of Cain, which are just like witch elves and all that stuff related to that. And then they have it's so cool because I have like two chariot boxes for my dark elves and two hydras, and that's actually like kind of like a mini formation with a black dragon, and I have a black dragon, so I'm like I literally own this whole sub faction, and I could build this little like detachment. So I'm pretty excited about that book. I'd like to do. You can't really do a review on it because they're all free the rules, but it's well worth the money. And so the destruction are finally getting theirs, which people are excited about because ogres and orcs are the two most iconic and popular GWIPs. Now the orcs have changed. They're no longer the goofy squig jumping, big pimple. I think some of the orc models used to have like big pimples
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
They're no longer that. They are the 40K styled in theme. I think they look similar to 40K orcs, which I like. And they've gone to, it looks like more of a rougher, feral kind of look, bulky, big armor plates that are kind of like riveted and like bolted on, and I think they look really fantastic. They're also getting a Balatum Iron Jaws, which is supposed to be the big new. That's the big, most powerful orc tribe, which is pretty cool. That's kind of like I kind of attribute that to Grimgore's kind of horde, the Black Orc kind of warband. They're the biggest and baddest army in all of 8th edition, and this would be that now. And then they're getting a fluff book, which is Fury of Gork, which will be a hardcover novel. And they've released a ton of new kits. They got the Mega Boss on the Maw Crusher, which is one of I'd say my second favorite AOS model ever.
It does look pretty awesome. That
Oh,
guy's huge.
he looks so good. He almost looks like a turtle dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was a
That-
40K model when I first saw it, as well as the name.
A lot of people think that because their armor is so bulky and yellow, and I
Yeah.
think yellow is like an orc 40K color. It's not really a fantasy color. So maybe if they did like blue instead, it might have been more fantasy-esque. A lot of people hate the yellow. I kind of dislike the yellow,
I
but
hate painting it. I think it looks pretty good though.
yeah, I just don't. I think yellow. Like, why would you paint your armor yellow? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. They have Orc Mega Boss on foot. He looks pretty cool. Big bulky orc. The brutes, which I'm assuming are going to be their mainstream like orc boy now, maybe like a knob equivalent, and they have 3 wounds, 4+ save for like an orc style model. That's pretty tough. That's on par with like some of the paladin style models.
Yeah.
And even their attacks and stuff, these guys are right on par with the paladins, which are some of the best in-game figures in the game. They're not the best models, but the paladins, but they're the best. I guess most effective for their points. And then they have the orc weird knob shaman, which kind of made me giggle a lot. Weird knob.
Yeah.
Knob's not a term they normally use in fantasy, and so I thought that was kind of neat that they're like doing knobs, so they're kind of 40K-izing and moving away from the Tolkien universe, which makes sense. He's kind of cool. He's a shaman model. I really think he's fantastic. His feet are kind of pointed inward, almost like kind of like a nerdy feral orc that's kind of deformed. I thought it was a really solid model. They have the Gore Gruntas and the War Chantas, which are the War Chanta is the guy with the big two like he's holding these two like things in the air, and he's supposed to get people fired up. But that's it for AOS. As you can tell, I'm super excited about these release waves. I think that once all these Grand Alliance books get completed and all the factions are updated, we're going to see a better picture of what the AOS universe is going to look like. And it also seems that the more stuff that gets redone, the more people that are getting back into it, because it's like, oh, well, they released the Death book, and I have a Death army, and this $20 book tells me how to use my army, so it's pretty fantastic.
The price point on the rules is right. The Death Book. I say this as someone who talks to a lot of people that played Tomb Kings. No one's happy about that.
Yeah, so they squatted the two. So no matter what, if your stuff got squatted, which it's still in the app and blah blah blah, but if you're one of the factions that got squatted, yeah, you're gonna be bitter for a bit. And, like there's people that are still bitter over the squats, but like come on, man, it's
Well, I mean,
we
that's a
knew it
bit of
was
a
gonna happen.
running joke.
Yeah, we knew it was gonna happen, and half those guys bought used Tomb King's armies for $10 anyway, like years ago. So
Anyway,
I have no sympathy. We'll move on.
well, I
40K
will. I will say
news.
though. I mean, anybody listening to the show knows I'm not a fan of AOS, but these models are just so cool. Like, I know a lot of people who are interested in just checking it out just for the models. I think AOS is going to be the kind of game that, like Tom Kirby was talking about, 90% of their customers are the hobbyist side of things, and I think AOS is perfect for them, right? You can play it with a very small model count. The rules are free for it. Like there's zero barrier to entry for AOS. It's really good in that respect, and the models are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Except for the dwarves. Oh my
like
god.
kids in their basement could start playing it with little cardboard cutouts if they really wanted to just get into a free game, like, and that kind of gets them into the rules. I agree. The models are some of the best. They're obviously GW's putting all their effort into these models over some of the other ranges, but fantastic. Okay, so we'll hand it over to you for 40K news
Sure.
because some people are getting fed up probably with my fanboyisms.
No. All right. So 40K, we got a lot of fun stuff here. Not quite as much fun stuff as AOS, but still
Oh,
some.
it was so good. Like that was a so good 2 weeks for AOS
It,
right now.
and it's so good for 40K as well. I mean, we
Oh,
get we get the subject of our show here. We got a new Black Legion book. We got a new Crimson Slaughter book. A new
yeah,
Space Marine book.
yeah.
We got a 30th anniversary, just GW going full retard on the rules model for Space Marine.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's before we move on. We should talk about that
Uh,
guy.
okay, so the rules basically he's a normal Marine. You can replace any single Marine in your army with one of this model, never more than one. And he has a rapid fire Strength 5 AP1 instant death gun for free.
So wicked. Yeah, because he's like 14 points or whatever.
So, yeah.
So this guy, what's your take on it? Is he allowed? Is he just like a 1+ in every Space Marine army?
Well,
Should he be allowed? Do you need the exact model to use him? If he's essentially like a free upgrade, are you allowed counts as for that guy? Like I know rule of cool, but
so
can I just say Joe Blow Marine is this dude?
okay. So where I'm going with this, or for any event I run, flat out this thing isn't allowed. There's no reason for it. It gives you an advantage that you have no business having. Um, if you're gonna that said, if that's for my events. If somebody else is doing it, whatever, do your own thing. Totally a judgment call. I think just in general, I would not be happy if somebody just used a normal and said, okay, it's this guy, because
Yeah.
that's you gotta go WYSIWYG, right? The guy's got a unique gun to begin with. If you kit bash something or do a really nice conversion, rule of cool, like we always say for that. Um, but yeah, I think in general this thing's just not going to be allowed. It's absurdly powerful with absolutely no opportunity cost for it. Like there's no reason not to take him because otherwise his gun is also a bolter.
Yeah.
It's a combi weapon that isn't one use only. Basically, is what it boils down to. So it's an auto include if you're allowed to take. There's no reason not to, except for the price. But if again, version's going to cost you $1 maybe. So yeah,
But
it's a
but
weird situation.
do you think that's a thing in the game right now? Like that you should have to. So like what do you think about a warp hunter with a pen as a gun on an old Falcon? Like should you have to pay the cost? Like because sometimes I look at models and I go, hey, those three models there, they
Hating
cost a
on
lot.
Mr. Naden, hating on Mr. Naden.
I don't hate on
Yeah,
it. It's
no,
just
no,
that
no, I know. It's a good example for it though.
that's why
Yeah, I think
example.
as we always go back to, right, it's rule of cool. That wouldn't fly, right? Like that's not
but it
It's
does fly.
barely a conversion.
It's flown a million times over.
Yeah, it's literally a pen glue.
And it does the job for a gamer. But I guess what I was getting at is like should the fact that this single Marine costs $35, should that be a fact, and it's a limited edition figure? That's the part that kills me too, because
That's the
it's
thing.
edition.
Because it's limited edition. I think you have to go one of two ways with this. Because it is limited edition, you either have to go the Void Shield way, which is any reasonable counts as is fine,
Yeah.
or you have to go the way almost every other limited edition thing is, which is you just can't use it because it's an unfair advantage because other people.
Did you buy one?
No.
I bought
Uh,
two.
but two, are you scalping them?
No.
That 40K buy sell trade, they're selling for like 80 pounds a pop.
What?
And
Why
people
so
are people
much?
are buying them. They
See,
don't understand. They're
I
going
bought
for hundreds on eBay already.
So I'm like a nerd. People know that. Obviously, I have like the first edition 40K rule book, the Rogue Trader book, and then I have
It's a
like
damn good book.
on sprue the 30 original Rogue Trader Marines, the first big. They're on like green sprues. And I actually regret is when I was younger, I took the bases out of that and I used the bases for other figs, but
So
they're
it's
just
not
20.
sealed.
They're just 20. Well, it was never sealed. One of the
Ah,
Marines was always missing when I got it secondhand from a friend. Somebody found it in their attic, and so I bought that Marine to put with my like Rogue Trader collection, like in
yeah,
a
yeah.
cabinet, like not for sale. And then I bought one to build for my Dark Angels army.
There you go.
So that
Yeah.
sounds like
No,
super nerdy, but
it's a fantastic collectible, right? Like that's what it's designed to be. I don't think it was the rules or anything were created with the intent of, here, use this. It's amazing. You need to buy it. I think it's out there as a collector's item, right? It's the throwback to the Rogue Trader era Marine. It's 30 years. He's got the beaky helmet. He's got the old school gun.
it's a
It's like one
fantastic
of the
sculpt.
original poses. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an awesome model, and it's really really good for what it's supposed to be. Just in terms of the sculpt and the collectability. So I've got no issue with that. They did a great thing with it. Just the rules don't line up how it should.
And not to make Logan sound negative, but I totally agree. It's like, so I also have the stance of it should not be allowed in competitive play. I think it is designed as a collectible, and I know that they put the rules because GW doesn't want to sell models without rules, and they give rules away for free essentially now, like within the boxes and stuff. So I get that. Cool. So we'll move on. What's the next thing you want to talk
All
about?
right, the next thing. Speaking of awesome deals and cool things that are coming out from GW, the Knight Renegade game.
Oh my God!
So
It's the one that they put in White Dwarf, right? For the
Yeah, yeah. So a while back, there was I think it was the Storm Surge versus the Imperial Knight or something, and
yeah,
they started with like the BattleTech style damage thing and just the mini game.
it was awesome. Yeah,
This is that, but with two knights. But it's two. So knights are what? They're $160 each here, Chris.
something along
Like
that
that?
line. Yeah.
$160 each. The two knights is $320. And then there's the Imperial Sanctum or Sector Imperialis, whatever it is. That's under 50 for $370. How much does this box cost, Chris?
135 Canadian.
235. It's $140 savings.
And it's almost Logan value. He would almost buy it retail.
I would.
You get
Like,
this 20%
I'm
off at a store.
Yeah, I'm
and,
trying to find an excuse to buy this. Like it's incredible.
yeah.
You get a knight for free.
So this is cool because I'm just going to kind of take it to the next point, and then we'll come back to this. They released rules for Militarum Tempestus in White Dwarf for the Deathwatch Overkill board game. So I'm reading through it, I'm like, oh, if I could take my Deathwatch Overkill game, and I can now buy, or I own military stormtroopers, Militarium
Yeah.
Tempestus models. I could just paint these up and use them in my board game because I'm never going to use them in my guard army or
Yeah,
Astra
that's
Militarum
actually really
army.
cool.
So I was like, that's fantastic. And then when this Knight Renegade box dropped, I went, wait a minute, they're going to release rules for Storm Surges for that game. They're going to release rules for, I don't know, Warhound, you name it. They're going to have rules for all their big walkers, right? Wraith
Yeah.
Knights. And this game is going to turn into,
It's gonna be its own
what,
game, right?
yeah,
It's
like
gonna
in the old days. Yeah, like
what
what
was
used
it?
to have those games that came out.
Yeah, what was the old one with the Titans? Like
It was
Adeptus Titanicus or something?
Yeah, but that was epic scale.
Well, yeah, but it's that, but like the 28 mil scale.
Yeah, and
It's really
it's a decent game, but I'm just like, wow, their games are actually so like you kind of thought, oh, Deathwatch Overkill, that's a one-off game. Well, it's not because now like
Yeah.
what's to stop them from Blood Angels Terminators are now good in Deathwatch Overkill and it comes with a scenario that you can use these Tempestus guys in, and I just look at this, I'm like, wow, this is the days of the specialist games all over again,
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
that's really
Right? Like I just bring my knight over to Logan's house and we're like, "Oh, we have an hour. Let's play this Knight Renegade game and
yeah.
we'll call our buddies in and it'll be a lot of fun." And I could see it great at GW stores for mega battles and
Yes, yeah,
I
it'll
and
be
I
great
see
for
this
that.
coming and I'm like, "This is fantastic." Okay. So we'll move on
Oh,
to
there's one other important thing in that. Before we move on to the next thing, not only do you get these two knights and the Sector Imperialis or whatever it is, there are rules for Chaos Space Marine Knights now. And
yes,
I
and they're
don't
really
mean the
for that
Forge World
release.
one. There is actually a data slate, and there's a formation. You can take 1 to 3 of them. They get hatred against other Imperial Knights, but the other Imperial Knights get hatred against them, so it's the usual chaos. Your special rules suck. But it's the
Marks, right?
same price point as, or same point cost, I should say, as the normal Knights, and it has all the same options as the Wardens. Like there's no
Sick.
downside to just taking one. Um, like past whatever the meta dictates for it, but like there's no tax for running it as chaos, which is really cool. It's the first time we've seen that in a long time.
So I thought they could take marks. Am I mistaken?
Only the Forge World one. I don't. I'm
Only the Forge
yeah. I'm
one could
pretty
take
sure
it.
this one can.
That's unfortunate.
It
Because people
is. Yeah, it is a little bit.
But it's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm just happy it's like, well, now they're chaos. They can ally with my stuff. So that means that, because this is what I was thinking. So, because so not that they can't be marked, that changes my plan, not at all. But I was thinking about doing the two, was it Night Wardens? Not Wardens. What's the one with the two guns? I don't know why I can't remember
Oh,
the
I know the
stuff.
one. I can never remember the name. There's like six of these things
Crusader,
now.
Night Crusader.
Crusader.
That's
Yeah,
the one.
that's the one I like. Yeah, for
So I
sure.
was thinking like taking two Night Crusaders, doing like because I play Iron Warriors and doing the two Warp Smiths, so that they can fix the Night Crusaders, which I know
Okay.
is kind of a gimmick. But the awesome part is I'm like reverse tech marines, so I can like -1 to two of your pieces of cover in your terrain in your end zone. So I can basically have these two Night gun platforms shooting your dudes at like 5 up or 6 up cover. That's really good. Chaos have shooting now, right? Like that's fantastic. And then I'm gonna have Mauler Fiends and Spawn running at you. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So
Can
I'm
you
really
imagine?
excited.
Can you imagine if we get like cult rules as well, and your
Oh,
Iron Warriors are actually Iron Warriors again?
well, I don't think that we'll ever get Iron Warrior rules, just because they're not. They didn't weren't that popular. I don't think.
But still, we can dream, right? We can dream.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I love it.
it's really cool. It opens up like this month is a whole world of new options for
Yeah,
Chaos Space Marine. Huge
those
power.
knights, the Black Legion book, the Crimson Slaughter book. Like we're gonna talk about the Black Legion book, but whatever people say about them online, those three updates alone, I think brought Chaos Space Marines out of the low and combined with the new demon stuff as well as allies, I guess, brought them, I think, out of lower tier to middle tier. It didn't put them in top tier, but it made them kind of competitive on their own because they can take
Yeah,
Corn Demonkin, they can take demons, they can now take Imperial Knights. You can make a really,
yeah.
you can make a decent army now.
As a single book, it's still poo, but with the options that this opens up and the ways you can use a Chaos Space Marine heavy force instead of just I have a Helldrake.
Yeah,
Yeah, it dragged them straight out of the dumps. And we'll get into that with the Black Legion because
yeah,
there's some really cool stuff. But I guess the last thing we're going to talk about here is just really quickly the Angels of Death book. We're going to talk about this on a later show.
yeah.
But the
I
two
want to test. I want to test out some of those powers before we talk about them in detail.
Okay, so we'll just go over the two ones that are throwing everyone
Yeah.
for a loop right now. And again, don't have the exact wording in front of me, so this is going off memory a little bit. The first one, yeah, and these are both in Geokinesis. I think is the table for it. It's I think the number 4 spell and the number 6. The first one is Warp Charge 1. It's a blessing on a unit. They can immediately make a shooting attack that ignores cover and ignores line of sight blocking.
It's pretty
Senstar is
good.
going to make a comeback with it. That's huge. That's really,
Yeah.
really. And then the other power, I believe, is Warp Charge 2. It might be higher. You pick up a piece of terrain and you move it. And I think I don't know what the range is for moving it, but basically you can't put it down on top of another unit or within 1 inch of another piece of terrain. Any unit that's fully on the piece of terrain goes with it, but takes dangerous terrain. Any unit that's partially on, partially off, just disembarks like it was a
It's
vehicle.
24 inches.
24 inches. So, where this gets crazy is you can turn one charge with this. Depending on how the board is set up, You cast this, you pick up your piece of terrain, you move your unit 24 inches, and then you charge. The only restriction is you can't put it within an inch of another, which is
Or
so
another terrain
or another
piece.
terrain piece. Yeah, sorry, but
So
yeah, depending on how it's set up, that could be crazy. Like turn one charging wolf stars because you got a chance of getting these powers with Lib Conclave. It's pretty nuts.
yeah, if the guy has that power, the first thing that pops in my mind is that if the guy has that power, you're going to be hiding your stuff behind a piece of terrain.
Yeah,
But
exactly,
if you
exactly.
can, right?
Like, these two are game changers. I think
Well, you
the
have to change the way you play. I would say like if you change the way you play against them, you could probably deal with them, and
oh,
it'll
you
take
can deal
people
with them.
time for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely,
But they
absolutely.
are game changers because it'll be like, wow, I have to actually deploy differently if you have that power. I feel that
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. The LOS ignores cover thing. I think that's going to be really. I think with this and some of the other powers that are in there, we're going to see quite possibly a big resurgence of the Ascent Star build with like Go and Tiggy whatever. Just because now they've got the ability to have a 2+ rerollable invulnerable save sitting out front of the units with ignores cover, ignores line of sight shooting that's teleporting around. It's
Yeah.
nuts. It's really really good, but it's
Well, that's
nuts.
the thing, right? With Scent Stars, there's so many times you play against it, and what the guy does is he hides it, and he waits till an opportune moment to get Invis off, and then once Invis is off on it, he then oh, what's that spell Draco gets?
Oh, Gate.
Gate of Infinity. Wow, why am I just retarded tonight? And he just basically teleports it out and shoots you. And so you're safe 1 to 2 turns while he's kind of back there setting up. And if you can stop that one Invis, he won't generally gate out. And you're like, okay, I can survive 2 turns. Then he comes out and he kills 2 units a turn for like 3 or 4 turns, just 6 units, and I can survive the game on objectives. Well, now he can basically sit back there and do damage to you while preparing to come out and hit you, which is fantastic. So
It's it's cool. I'm interested to see how it shakes things up. Um,
cool.
anyway, let's move on.
So we're gonna move on to the event spotlight. So the first thing is the CanHammer team tournament's happening in 2 weeks. We are full. We can't add any more teams. But we just want to say that we are doing in Ontario a 4-man team ETC style 40K event. So if you're interested in that for next year, give us a shout. It'd be nice to get some of the USA team members up here. Good practice event. Our whole ETC team is going to be there this year. And so John Green's the head TO of that, and he's doing a fantastic job so far getting it prepped up. The also thing is Capital City Bloodbath tickets are for sale. This is a gaming convention that we're trying to grow to be the Adepticon of the North one day. Hopefully we succeed. It might take many years, but we're doing our best. And it's going to have 40K GT. It's going to have an AOS GT, which is going to be awesome. So hopefully get AOS players. Now's the time to come out. We've had a lot of good books. The game is where it's going to be. We're going to be using South Coast GT modified pack. The players pack will be up really soon for the AOS. We're really trying to push that event to try and get the community going. The competitive GT community. So check that out. It's the 19th, 20th, and 21st of August in Ottawa, Ontario, right across from the Ottawa Airport, which is yow.ca, which is YOW, which is the airport code for the Ottawa Airport. So get your tickets now, man. We are listed on ITC, frontlinegaming.com, as a GT level event, but we have enough terrain and tables to become a major event without compromising line of sight and quality of terrain, because we are known for high quality terrain and high quality buffet lunches. Well, second day's pizza and soup lunch usually or something like that. We don't know what the exact details. That's what it was last year, but it's still really
Still
excellent.
good.
That's the number
It's
one.
gourmet pizza. It's not crap.
It's delicious food. And it's a buffet both days if you take part, Saturday, Sunday. So it's gonna be a great time. So
and
get your tickets if you're.
and if you've got buddies that are coming that don't necessarily play Warhammer or Age of Sigmar, we also have War Machine, Masters, Iron Arena, Who's the Boss, Young Bloods, something else. We've got an X-Wing tournament, Batman tournament, 40K doubles, AOS doubles. Like this is, it's a con minus the classes.
Yeah, we
it's a
have hobby seminars.
full 3 day event, tons of tournaments. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's Capital City Bloodbath. www.capitalcitybloodbath.com.
Yeah, open to spectators.
We're,
Last year we had. Oh, sorry.
we're doing the Gamer Garage sale as well.
Oh,
It's
that's the best.
yeah,
You
it's
can bring all your
a commission
Warhammer.
cut. I think it's like 5 or 10% or something for whatever you put up for sale. You drop it off with them, and they'll sell it throughout the weekend. You come back Sunday evening and get your money. But there are amazing deals to be had. There were a lot of really, really good buys last year.
Yeah, somebody snaked those 2 Chaos Space Marine Land Raiders I wanted.
Yeah,
I got Hero Quest for like $20. But yeah, so you basically you bring your models in and they sell them for you. You write down what you want for them, and they people sell it for you. We take a cut for the con, and but also last year, we can't guarantee this if we really fill up. But last year we had like 4 or 5 extra gaming tables, so people could even just come in and play a one-off game in the con. You don't have to pay for any of that, but we had lots of open space and like board games and just lots of cool stuff. It's a really awesome time. Our videos are on YouTube for last year. If you go into YouTube and you search, I tested this out because I knew I was going to be pumping it a lot. Search for Capital City Bloodbath, and you'll see the 2 videos from last year, part one and part two. Check those out. It's an awesome event. We're really hoping to push this and get it really big. So, with that, I think we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
So we are back. That wasn't a very long break, but that's okay. So we're going to start off with we're going to go through the Black Legion book. Now, the reason we're just doing the Black Legion book, we're leaving the Crimson Slaughter for later, is that we feel that the Black Legion one has the greatest amount of impact on the Chaos Space Marines right now today. The Crimson Slaughter one, it has an impact as well, but we're going to save that for a show in the next couple weeks. We want to do kind of a two-parter, which would be it's good for us to kind of make our shows a bit shorter, cover more news and other related things, and just kind of spread it out so we don't drag on. So with that, we're going to get directly in. So the Black Legion book, it was an older supplement that came out in 6th edition to update the Chaos Space Marine book. And in that, it really had nothing. It had like you could upgrade your Terminators to +1 weapon skill, ballistic skill for like Abaddon's bodyguard, and it had a few like relics. None of them are really that good. The only one that you maybe took was like the +1 mastery level, but you got like a really
The
mediocre pyromancy skull like
Skull of
spell
Kurnagar was the one. You take.
for the
It's the only
eternal.
way to get Eternal Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, so you put that on a prince. It just depended, but like those are the two that you'd see. And then so this came out, and they said, okay, we're gonna redo the Black Legion book, but we're just gonna republish it. So I'm assuming that they ran out of hardcovers, and then they decided to do a printing run. So they said, well, let's update it if we're doing a printing run. And I had the iPad version, and I got the updated one for free, which was fantastic. I really like that they do that because they kind of reward the fanboys, right? Like I did buy that kind of crappy. I'm not gonna lie, it was a crappy supplement before. It was actually a waste. I felt like it was a waste of money before, and this new one, I felt like if the old one was this exact book, it wouldn't have been a waste of money. It was like it's actually worth the value now.
These are what, $25, something like that.
Yeah, they've
Not
dropped
bad.
the price as well, so it's fantastic value for if you're a Chaos Space Marine player. You get some fluff, you get some pictures, you get some new stuff. Great idea. So we're gonna jump in. The first thing is the Warlord traits table. We're just gonna run through really quickly through that. So you want me to do it, or
Well, before we do that, let's talk about some of the quick things here that
or did I
Black
miss?
Legion detachments get. So, first off, if you take Black Legion detachment, chosen are troops, which is kind of nice. You get some power fists in for your troops.
Oh, yeah.
They're pricey, but they've got more attacks, so not a big problem there.
They
Basically
they can
means
take 4 specialist weapons and
yeah,
they scout. So or they
yeah,
outflank.
something like that. Yeah. But most importantly, means your special weapon is not on your sergeant, so having to challenge with him is actually almost a good thing because he is sacrificial. The downside of this is if you take the Black Legion detachment, everything in the detachment has to have Veterans of the Long War, which is like 5 points a character or one or 2 points a model. It's kind of like Blotting Knife Ritual for Tau.
It's not terrible though.
It's not terrible, except that it really, really sucks on characters because they're already leadership 10, so it does nothing for them.
It gives them hatred. Regular
Gives them
Marines.
hatred against Marines, yeah, which is not terrible, I suppose, but it's a steep price. Past that, you get the artifacts, and yeah, if you're generating on Warlord table, you can roll on either this one or the rulebook or Chaos Space Marines. But yeah, everything in this does get preferred enemy, or yeah, with Veterans of Long War, yeah, you get preferred enemy, or I think it is hatred actually, not preferred enemy, for Space Marines. That's all Space Marines. So Space Marine, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Green Space Wolves.
Yeah. So that's a big down. It means that you don't want to take any like really large units from this detachment. The one thing that really pisses me off about that +1 leadership is that a lot of their characters are fearless, like the lords and stuff, and they're really cheap. So like for 60, I think it's 65 points,
Yep.
gets you a Chaos Lord who's fearless, right?
Fearless Leadership 10. Yep.
And the sad part is that like to upgrade a unit of 20 dudes, it could be like, 40 points. So like I'd rather just have another character for the extra 25 points that gives them fearless, and they're usually pretty good. So actually if you want to do the warlord traits, I'm just looking up because I don't want to we don't want to make a mistake about the chosen. I can't remember if it's scout or just outflank. I'm trying to find it, but I only have a paper book. It's a pain in the butt.
So Warlord traits. First off, we've got Black Crusader, Warlord, and all friendly units within 12 inches get preferred enemy Space Marines. Okay. Two Eye of the Gods. Each time the Warlord rolls on the Chaos Boon table, including for Gift of Mutation, Chaos Reward, you may choose to re-roll the results. You must accept the re-roll even if it's worse. I think that one's actually one of the Chaos Space Marine Warlord traits as well. I'm not sure. Um, Number 3, Gift of Balefire, shooting attacks, Strength 4, AP5 template, Assault 1, Soul Blaze, one use only. It's a thumbs down for anyone who's listening to the podcast. 4, Unholy Fortitude, it will not die. Not bad. 5, Soul Eater. If this model is attacking with a melee weapon, any to wound roll of 6 has instant death. That's pretty solid. Never complain about instant death. Stack that with the Gift of Mutation, you've actually almost got a chance of getting it, which is pretty nice. Then 6, Chosen of Abaddon. This Warlord and all friendly units in 12 inches of the Warlord have the Stubborn rule. Not sure about that one, since so much of this stuff is fearless. Not sure how useful it would.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's not the greatest. I'd rather probably take strategic. So on the chosen, I think they removed their
Yeah,
outflank.
someone in chat saying they had it in 5th edition codex.
They had it. That's it. They had it in 5th because I used to. My buddy Cal used to play it and used to outflank as chosen all the time. So yeah, they don't have scout or outflank. So sorry about that, guys. But that sucks.
Yeah, Chosen are not bad. Like if you have to take a troops choice, Chosen are probably the least awful of the Chaos Space Marine stuff. Toss a bunch of them in a Land Raider, mark a Corn, give them the icon for reroll charge, put a Herald in there from Demonkin. You've got a filthy unit. Like, that's 12 Power Fist attacks that reroll to hit, wound almost everything on twos, reroll their charge distance. Actually, more than that, 16 attacks because you get Rage as well.
That's what, a 1,000 point unit. I know I'm
Uh,
exaggerating there, but that's an expensive
with
combo.
the land, it's a 600 point unit with Herald and the land,
Well, that's not
something like that.
terrible. That's not
So it's
terrible.
pretty good. You toss a Chaos Lord in there as well. Yeah, it's not. That's what I ran at Chaos Unique last year. Took best overall. It's a really
Ooh,
strong list. And
in
that
the
was the
doubles, in the
doubles. Yeah,
doubles,
doubles.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
So
really good.
yeah, I still think this the fact they can take the four special weapons still right means you have a lot of firepower output, which is decent
Yeah,
because the Chaos Space Marines lack a lot of shooting. I don't personally take them. I just pay the 50 point cultist tax, and then because you can't give cultist veteran of the Long War, you
yeah.
don't
You
have to
don't pay
take
anything.
you don't pay that extra tax for this book, which is fantastic, right? That's because I've been writing lists for my Chaos Space Marine Army like crazy. So the first, we're going to go on to Chaos Artifacts of the Black Legion. Crucible of Lies, -1 toughness, but you may reroll saving throws of 1.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah,
The minus
it's,
one toughness is a killer because the stuff's already T4 base. So now, if you've given a guy Mark and Nurgle and put him on a bike with this, he still gets instant death by strength 10.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of hard, and
It's
the
not worth it.
like generally, like so. I was looking at that, and I was like, well, this would be cool, some Zinch stuff, because they get the better invul save. But then you're still like a 4+ rerolling ones is not great,
It's not worth the minus one toughness.
and it's
That's
also
the
like
biggest thing.
25 points as well.
Yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, if you're making a Mark Zinch and you're giving him a bike, he's still only T4. That's bad. That's instant death from las cannons. It's instant death from crack missiles. No, just don't. Just don't.
Yeah, just don't do it. Well, I'm sure there's a combo out there that we just haven't discovered, but yeah, I generally look at that and go, ugh. But next one is the Eye of the Night, 75 points. Oh my gosh, infinite range, strength 5, AP 4. If it's 75 points, it's got to be better than strength AP 4, strength 5. Heavy one, large blast, haywire, maelstrom, ignores cover, one use only. Like if it was like strength 10, AP 1, one use only for 75 points, I might ignores
So,
cover, I might take it.
so if it was like an orbital bombardment, the chapter masters get for free.
Yeah, well, it's haywire, but
Yeah, it's D3 haywire hits on vehicles, buildings, or fortifications, which is not terrible, but it's not 75 points good.
no, like this should be like a 25 point
It
item.
should, it should be.
25 points, I think you might even see it. I
Maybe,
probably,
maybe.
well, Iron Warriors I might, but do you want to do Hand of Darkness?
Yeah, so Hand of Darkness. This one is kind of cool. It's pricey though. It's 50 points. Oh, never mind. No, it's not good. I lied. When making close combat attacks, the bearer of the Hand of Darkness can instead choose to make a single
Yeah,
special
that's the
attack.
downside.
Yeah, single attack. Times 2 strength, AP 1, melee, armor bane, flesh bane, instant death. So it's a slightly better power fist, except you only get one attack, and it's triple the cost almost. Just
Yeah.
under triple the cost. No, just under quadruple the cost. Pardon me. Power fist 15 points. Yeah, pretty bad.
It would
I
be okay if it was like treat your attacks characteristic of 0 and then you could like combine it with another weapon in charge, but you can't do that. It's just one attack.
Yeah, it's one. It's a single attack. Yeah, it would be so much better if it was just normal number of attacks. It would actually be amazing if it was normal number of attacks. I would take this over my current setup I run on them. But it's not. So
No, it's not worth it. This one is the item that I was talking about. I actually kind of like it. I know you don't like it, but it's a psyker only. The bear increases his mastery level by 1. You do not get an additional psychic power, but you do get the sunburst power from pyromancy, which is pretty cool. It's 30 points for +1 mastery level. Like you don't. So this is the thing. Back in 6th edition, I liked this because I had a hard time fitting characters in and getting the extra dice. So I used to treat this as like 30 points for an extra die.
yeah,
And I was like, well, it's kind of worth it. 6 extra, dice per game. That's decent. But nowadays, with what we're going to talk about later on, you don't need to pay that much to get the extra mastery level in. So I guess we'll move on to the skull. This is your favorite item,
yeah.
right?
This thing is actually good. It's still a little pricey, but it's good. So Skull Kurnagar, 40 points. Bearer of the Skull has Eternal Warrior and Adamantium Will. This thing is a nasty combo if you put it in Fleshhounds from Corn Demonkin. You get a unit that denies the Witch on 2 plus, and you've got a dude sitting out front with 3 up arm. Put him in. Yeah, so he's got a 3 up armor save, 4 up invul save. Put him on a Juggernaut. He's got 4 wounds at toughness 5 with Eternal Warrior sitting out front, just tanking for the looking out Sir to dogs. It's beefy.
You can also do that with the Nurgle Lord on a Palanquin in
Yeah,
the front of like a big plague star. If you want to run that, I know that's it's not the best, but I do like that unit a lot.
yeah, you can put him with a spawn or something.
Yeah, I've ran that unit before. Not even with the Nurgle spawn. You just put them in a big unit of Plague Marines and kind of march them up
Yeah,
on
it
an
works too.
objective. It's
It's
expensive,
tough to
but
kill though. Really
you
tough to kill.
can't kill them. And it's 20 dudes or 10 dudes even, and they can spread out and keep people off the objective. So that's cool. And then the last one is the Spine Shiver Blade. Strength of the user AP3, a demon weapon, which means you get D6 attacks if you roll a 1, but you take a wound. The model immediately suffers a wound, and you go to weapon skill 1, so just don't roll 1s and you're fine. It has Quicksilver, which means you get +1 initiative. So it's okay. D6 attacks with a bad one and +1 initiative.
It's okay.
30 points. I could think of a better way to spend 30 points, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Because it's not a specialist weapon, you can't pair it with something else when you need the higher strength. So for this, I'd say you're better off taking the Power Fist Lightning Claw combo. You get the +1 attack for having the 2 specialist weapons, which is not D6, but there's no downside to it. And you can choose your weapon, you can choose your strength.
and you get to reroll the wound if you choose the strength 4 weapon,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
huge.
And yeah, so this you get the extra attacks, but I think on average, the Lightning Claw, you're going to do more damage.
Yeah.
The other part of it is if you're taking a demon weapon, in my experience anyway, you're probably running it on a demon prince, and at that point, you're taking the black mace. You're doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you can only fit so much in. But honestly, this detachment alone, as an allied detachment with a Helldrake, a Demon Prince, and a unit of cultists, it's fantastic. Like just for the special rules we've listed, just to get that Eternal Warrior on that Prince, right? And you make him even Mastery level 3 Eternal Warrior means like nobody's hitting him with any psychic powers. Or you could do like a character to join other units. I just love Demon Princes. I don't know why.
I like them when they're running as demons and not chaos space marines. The black mace is
I
good.
still think the Black Mace
Oh,
guy.
the black mace guy is great. I hate the having to generate powers from the god table.
I agree with that
That's the
100%.
one downside. Like when I take demon princes, I just don't run them as psychers for chaos space marines. And
So this is the
now there's an even better way to do it. Me too.
Yeah, so now we're going to go on to the best part of the new book, which is like formations. So you get formations in your Chaos Space Marines, and some are good, some are bad, but it's fantastic because it was hard. It's like, oh, I can run double CAD. I can't, or CAD and like allied demons. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
But now I have options. I can be like, oh, I just want to take this little thing. And so the first one I'm going to do, because this is like my favorite detachment from the old book, and they kind of redid it, but better. I love this detachment. I'm not saying it's good in the game, but I love it. It's Abaddon the Despoiler, 1 unit of Chaos Terminators. They have 2 special rules. The first one's without equal. All the Terminators have weapon skill and ballistic skill 5, which is free essentially. And then the Despoiler's Guard, which is while he is in the unit, he gets to reroll 1 Lookout Sir in each phase, which is okay. But for the first one, I think that's awesome. Like, you can take the Abaddon Death Star of Terminators. You can do like any mark because he has all the marks. So he can join any marked unit.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
could be like, I want to be Nurgle or I want to be Zinch and have a 4+ invulnerable save on my Terminators, which is probably what I would take. And then they have combi bolters. You give them all like combi plasmas. Like you could do like 10 of them with combi plasmas. They all come in hitting on 2. That's like 20 plasma shots if you're within 12 inches. That's gnarly. You could do the Melta ones if you want. I run my Terminators with the Melta guns because I need to pop tanks, but
Yeah,
I
it's a big one hit
Death
wonder.
Star. One hit wonder,
Yeah.
but you could put some sorcerers and Terminator armor in it and make it like a Death Star. So you could even kind of chill it back. Like there's lots you could do with it. And I'm not saying it's optimal, but I just love that. It's like Abaddon has a bodyguard and they're fantastic.
It's a good fluffy formation for sure.
But even then, like let's say you're gonna take Abaddon because you just love him. you're gonna put him in a Land Raider, you could just like, okay, you only need to take like a couple, three, four Terminators, put him in a Land Raider with him, and you have an assaulting unit, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's a good unit. Yeah, if you're playing in something where you don't care about number of detachments and you want to run Abaddon, this is probably the best possible way.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's good. It's just his model is absolutely gorgeous considering it's old. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
nostalgia. I love the nostalgic of it.
yeah.
And
It's a great like third edition Chaos Space Marines look.
yeah, so if you're gonna do Terminators, why not do this? Well, because you don't want to take Abaddon, but cool. So we'll pass it on to the next formation. I'll let you cover that one.
Sure. So next one we got the Chosen of Abaddon. 1 to 4 Chaos Lords or Sorcerers in any combination, and 1 unit of Chosen or Chaos Terminators in any combination. Interesting, because you can't combine those. Oh, for each Chaos Lord or Sorcerer. There you
Yes,
go. So
yes.
it's
So you,
1 to 4 units. Okay.
and they each Chaos Sorcerer or Lord
Yeah.
has to join that Terminator unit or Chosen unit.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so yeah, that's the first thing. As long as the character is on the battlefield, that unit has Fearless. Before deployment, each of the Lords or Sorcerers get to basically they get a free gift of mutate. They
Yeah,
ignore Dark Apotheosis or Spawnhood.
which is basically like a free 10-point upgrade.
Yeah. The thing that like on paper this isn't bad except that the character has to join the unit you bought for them.
Yeah, and
Which just
they're
kills it.
fearless. So I do like that it makes them fearless because so the Lord is already fearless. So that it's like don't take the Chaos Lords because you're doubling up on rules that you don't need. I would take four sorcerers, 4 units of 3 Terminators, put all the sorcerers, or even just one sorcerer and one Terminator unit, and kind of just like pair them up. So you'd have a sorcerer with a unit of Terminators, deep strike them, kind of go for the MSU thing, go for maybe 3 or 4 melta guns and some psychic powers, and it makes that kind of unit fearless in the corner, which I thought was pretty sweet. And then they get a free mutation, which I don't care about, but I did think like let's say like your list is getting kind of full and you're like, well, I just need one more sorcerer or I need a unit Terminators. Bang, sorcerer Terminators done on the board deep strike. I think it has a place for that, but
Yeah, if you're taking one thing, it's not too bad if you purpose build around. I think it's a bit steep. I think there's better ways to take some of this stuff outside of
yeah.
it, but
Because you don't get enough bonuses. That's my issue. Is you don't get enough things to make it
yeah, you
worthwhile.
don't get enough to make up for the tax of it, fortunately.
And they still give away 2 kill points, which is kind of
Yeah.
defeats the point. So
But let's go on to the next thing. I know you like this one.
I love this one. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it.
So this is the Hounds of Abaddon. 1 Chaos Lord, 1 to 3 units of Corn Berserkers, 1 to 3 units of Chaos Space Marines, 1 to 3 Raptors, Warp Talons, or Chaos Bikers. So I should say 1 to 3 Chaos Bikers. I did actually make a list with these, and I used the Raptors because I was going for an MSU Deep Strike army, which I feel like you can do now with a lot of these formations, and that's kind of money a little bit nowadays. But so this is a Black Legion formation, and its bonus is that everybody that has the option to take the mark of corn must do so for free.
The free market takes care of that being a tax.
So that's awesome because it's one of those things that the more you take from this formation, the more free items you get. So it's kind of like the ad mech, right? Like what you get the free items, so you take as many small units as you can to get as many free items as you can.
Don't know if I go quite that far, Chris.
No, it's not that good. But I'm just saying, like, so if you take like I don't know 100 models from this formation, you're essentially getting 200 free points worth of marks. Now it's the marker corn, so it's not fantastic, but this would go really well with like a corn demonkin army. It's if you're going to be oh, I should get onto the special rules, I guess.
Yeah.
So the special rules are what make. I was just going to say what the special rule did in context of a game, but once per game, you basically get to wah this whole formation, so they can run and then assault. And then they have Corn's Favor, which is if a unit from this formation makes a successful charge and the total rolled is 8 or more, then they add 1 to the strength of their weapons, which is pretty good. So I was
Which
thinking,
so keep
oh,
in mind also if you take the icon of Wrath, you get to re-roll your charge distance.
yeah, that's what I was
One
thinking.
or both dice.
So you could take like a big unit and a Land Raider, not that big, with like even like the Berserkers with Karn. Actually, Karn wouldn't get it, would he?
No, because he wouldn't be in the formation. But you take it with a kick-ass Chaos Lord. That's still
Yeah.
really good.
You put him in a Land Raider, you bump up 12, then turn 2, you bump up 6, you get out 6, move and run, you can touch the board edge. You can't do it turn 1, sadly, but I like that. Even on foot, so you kind of do the numbers on foot. You like, okay, I have like 20, like, let's get ridiculous. I have Icon of Wrath, a 20 Chaos Space Marine unit. I have the Corn guy in it with the Eternal Warrior out front tanking my unit 20. They're all free. I got 200 free, whatever, 20 times 2, so 40 free points of marks.
Toss a Herald in there too. Give yourself hatred.
If you want to, if that
Yeah.
works. You could also do a Dark Apostle to give them hatred.
Yeah, either works.
And then like we'll just keep it Chaos Space Marine because
Sure, sure.
so you move,
yeah.
move 6, you run D6, move 6, run D6, charge 2D6, re-rolling. You're in their zone turn 2. So if you get first turn, you're up there. You can almost keep up with your spawn with this unit, which I like.
Oh yeah, especially if you toss them in Land Rider, right? You put them in there, you turbo boost up 18 inches or flat out, go up 18 inches. Your spawner right up next to you, or whatever you're taking in there. Yeah, you pop out, so you go 6, you move 6, you're up 12 inches. Then you can run your D6 on top of that. Then you charge. The icon gives you, so you've already got counterattack and rage. You get +1 attack either way, basically. Take the icon, which gives you the reroll charge distance and furious charge, so you're +1 strength. And let's say like 8 with the ability to reroll is not far off average, right?
Because you can re-roll just one die on that
I believe
icon,
so,
right?
yep.
Maybe not. We
Not
don't know.
positive. I think so. I'd have to double check. Either way, you've got a pretty good shot at everything in that unit having strength 6.
Also,
which is
Rhino
pretty
Rush.
Great.
Like you could do just tons of these units and rhinos, and turn 1 you bump up 6, get out of your rhinos, you're on the 12-inch line. They shoot you, then you move 6, run. It's like it's if you play Corn Space Marines, and I Riley, he's a friend of ours. He plays Corn Space Marines all the time. His Corn guys just got better for free. So I guess we can move on, but
Yeah. Yeah,
it's not the best thing in the game, but it's like, oh, if because a lot of people love Corn Marines, a lot of people, and now they're better. Done. So you can do the next one.
All right, the Demon Engine Pack, also known as we couldn't sell these models, so here are rules. It's a Warpsmith and 2 Forge Fiends or Mauler Fiends.
I own all of those models, by the way.
Well, I own 2 Mauler Fiends as well. I like Mauler Fiends.
I love the Warpsmith model. I love it.
The model's awesome. It's just anyway.
It's okay, game. It's okay.
Hunting Pack. After deployment, before the first game turn, you can nominate 1 character in the enemy army. All Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends in this formation get preferred enemy against that character. It's killed, the model regains a hull point lost earlier in battle. Prized possessions. Start of each shooting and assault phase, you can nominate a Forge Fiend or Mauler Fiend within 12 inches of the Warpsmith. Till the end of the phase, the model uses the Warpsmith's weapon skill or ballistic skill instead of its own.
Which is okay. I first read that and I went, oh, wicked, and then it doesn't really work out because this is the issue that these guys have is so the Mauler Fiend's going to be gone. So having it bump the weapon skill means like nothing because your Warpsmith is probably chilling in the back in a unit of cultists, like 20 cultists, giving them leadership 10 or 9. I think he's 10.
He's 10.
In cover, going to ground, just kind of chilling back there, covering an objective. That's all he's going to do.
Yep.
And then so you're like, okay, the Mauler Fiend's gone. He's unaffected by that rule, which sucks. And then you're like, well, I could take a Forge Fiend, make him ballistic skill 5. Now he's good. The only issue is you can only take 2 Hades autocannons. You can't, or it's a special autocannon, but anyway, 2 of the Gatling cannons. You can't take 3. You can only take 3 plasma cannons. And like, do you really care if plasma cannons are ballistic skill 5?
It helps. I mean, over the BS3 they have, it does help, but again, it's only one of the Forge Fiends that gets it, right? So your other one is sitting there still being hot garbage.
So for my really weird, screwed up Chaos Space Marine army, this would be fantastic because I literally would do exactly what I just said. 20 cultists in cover with him, 1 Forge Fiend kind of chilling back, shooting plasma cannons at cover that I made -1 cover from my Warpsmith. And then the Mauler Fiend is just going to go off with my spawn and other things and screw up your battle line. But I actually kind of like it, just for the fact that it's like... So I made a whole bunch of lists where I couldn't take my Mauler Fiends because I wanted to take other heavy support choices instead. Like, they compete for that.
Yeah.
And so this kind of allows me just to take 2 of those outside of my pad.
I'm honestly disappointed they didn't make a formation that's like just Mauler Fiends.
Yeah, give them like a 2d6 run or something one turn, or I don't know.
Back. I'm gonna get it.
Poor, you have mosquitoes alive right now? That's ridiculous.
Jesus, fuck, how is it? Okay, I think I got it.
Cool. So that's that one. So I'm gonna leave the next one for you as well because
right.
this one like
This
blew
one,
your mind.
Oh, this one gives me a nerd boner. All right. Cyclopia Cabal, 3 to 5 sorcerers. No restrictions, no tax. 3 to 5 sorcerers.
Well, there is a tax. You have to give them the 5 point plus one nothing and hatred Space
Oh
Marines.
well, yeah, you gotta give them that. But if you're running these the way I run them, that hatred is actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's 3 to 5 sorcerers, and your only tax, yeah, is veterans along. So an extra 5 points per model. So 15
Sorry.
points.
Hatred Space Marines only. We'll just add that in so that we don't get an email.
15-point tax. Their special ability. This one. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Shroud of Deceit. At the start of each of your psychic phases, select one model from the Cyclopia Cabal to lead it in a dark ritual. That model can attempt to manifest the Shroud of Deceit psychic power. Talk about it. For each other sorcerer in the formation that's within 12 inches, add 1 die to the psychic test. That does not cost any warp charge points. So basically, you get 2 extra warp charge for free. If you
Up
take,
to
if you
4,
ta-
yeah.
up to 4. Two if you take the minimum size for this. Shroud of Deceit, warp charge 3. Psychic power that targets a single non-vehicle enemy unit within 30 inches. Target unit cannot be locked in combat. You can immediately make a shooting attack with that unit as if it were part of your army. Suddenly my
Awesome.
unit of 2 storm surges
Yeah.
is not worth taking if I can't kill these things.
That's
So-
all. That's the best part about it. Oh, you took 800 points of storm surges. Well, now they're gonna shoot you.
Yeah, that's 8. Oh god, just the amount of shooting, because you can burn all the one-use missiles. Like those storm surges, you just removed their ability to use D for the game. You get
Well,
the spell off.
That being said, but yeah, if the Tal player gets turn 1, they're gonna shoot all their one-use missiles just to get rid of them, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
Otherwise, those one-use missiles are shooting riptides. Too bad you can't like. If you took 2 of these, could I do it to your marker drone unit, marker something, and then do it to your riptide unit?
Oh god, you could.
And I know, isn't that awesome? I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, I want to do marker drones and a unit, so I need 2 of these with 3 of them, and then I'll
Oh
take
my
a CAD
god,
because I only
That's,
run a CAD anyway.
that's mean. I hadn't even thought of that. That's hilarious.
That's kind of fluky, but it's
It
still
is.
like hilarious.
It's very fluky, but it's cool. Yeah. So that thing is really good. Like the stuff that's super nasty, you're probably not going to get this off on. Like you're not going to get it on, a unit with a librarian that has Hunter's Eye with Graph Sense. But a unit of Centurions sitting there on their own, if there's 3 cents in a drop pod or something that came down, they're going to melt something.
Yeah.
A unit of jet bikes, they're going to melt something.
Well,
Warp
that's-
spiders, maybe not. Hornets, yeah, non-vehicle, sorry. So not Hornets.
Non-vehicle, yeah.
But
But it's
yeah.
like, oh, is that your Sriracha Wraith Knight that's now shooting and killing? I think they can kill about 3 bike units. I'd
yeah,
say.
you get that on one of those, or really any Wraith Knight. Like that thing is, except for the close combat one, obviously. That thing it's good. Like this is a really good power, and the fact that you get the free warp charge really helps balance out the fact it's warp charge 3. You put spell familiars on these guys,
Yeah,
toss 3 dice at it, plus 2 free ones. You've got a really good chance of getting it off.
yeah. I would, yeah. But the only problem with the spell familiars, you have to reroll all the dice,
Yeah.
depending on the fact. But I think it's universally accepted. You reroll
Pretty
all
much
the-
universally, it's everything. But
Yeah.
either way, if I'm playing this list and I'm playing it against Tau, I am throwing like 6, 7, 8 dice at this to get those storm surges to kill stuff in their own army. Because they're gonna flatten, like if there's a drone net on the table, the storm surges will take it out.
Yeah. Even like a Scent Devastator unit, like
Yeah, it's gonna kill. It's gonna wipe something out that's important. Like it's really, really good. So yeah, this is an auto include in all of my KDK or CSM lists from now on.
But like, and we're hyping it because of that power. That power is not why you take this
No.
formation.
You take this for go for it.
Well, okay, this you so like because we were talking about this earlier, and I said, the power's met. Like it's great if it goes off and it's like blah blah blah. But this is just one formation choice for 3 Chaos Spore sorcerers, which can be mastery level 1 to 3. They can be on a bike. They have tons of options, tons of access to psychic powers. It's basically like you don't have a tax anymore. Like I would literally take 2 cultist units for 2 of these guys in a lot of my other Chaos Space Marine lists. It just saved me 100 points, which then I bought a 3rd sorcerer with.
Yeah. It's
So it took your tax dollars and put them to work for you for once, right? The government should learn to use that.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Yeah, I mean, you take like the way I'm running this is I take my 3 sorcerers, I give them all either 4+ or 5+ invul. They're on bikes, they're not marked, so they can go with anything. But I don't have to waste powers. I give them spell familiars, veterans of long war, force axes. Like these guys are coming in. With 9 mastery levels, you get a great shot at getting invis, you get a great shot at getting endurance. You have Shrouded Deceit for free, and you've got, I guess, realistically, you've got 7 other roles that are on telepathy and biomancy. Like, you're gonna get what you need. That's
Yeah, it's
really, really good. Like, this makes for a killer Death Star. It can break out into multiple units. You can buff a ton of stuff. You can do a lot of damage with it. It's, 3 Shrieks potentially. If you split them out, it's really, really. Yeah, it's basically 15 points attacks. Have 3 of the best things in the Space Marine.
so I'm gonna put that out there. Are you sure that they get access to that lore there
I
with
am
Invis?
almost positive. I will look it
I
up.
want to look that up because I keep
It's divination they don't have without the Crimson Slaughter relic.
yeah. So I know that one of them they don't have, which is why initially when I was looking at these guys, I was like, I meant to look it up before the podcast, but then so they have biomancy, pyromancer, and yes, they have telepathy.
But, yeah.
So
So
that's the best part. So
yeah.
so this is because I made this list and I was like, okay, you can take there's a couple ways to do this. One of them's in the Crimson Slaughter, which I'm not going to get, but there's ways to give like you take the Chaos Nurgle Herald with the bell for -1 leadership to the enemy army, and then you can take like a CAD of like Spawn and or whatever to kind of put these guys in. You could theoretically take 10 sorcerers with 10 shrieks, and then you could have another formation that's a lot of tax points. You can't really fit it in, but there's stuff you could do to be like -1, -2 leadership to your opponent, maybe even -3, depending on how greedy you get. And then you could take a ton of shrieks on bikes, and you could essentially be shrieking guys at -1 to 3 leadership every like turn one. You pop up, you shriek 8 of his units, or 9 of his units, or 10 of his units at -2. You're gonna kill a lot of dudes in most armies that are leadership 8 to 7, right?
Yeah. Well, because they've got telepathy, right? You've got a good shot at getting Terrify. So you're nuking at least 1 unit there.
Could you imagine playing an Eldar army and they're all at -1 leadership and doing a
Shrieking a ton of
Terrify
bikes off.
to not like to 10 bike units, and these guys are all in spawn units at toughness 6, giving them like a 3+ save in front, or even like give your spawn like feel no pain, or like I these guys get me really like excited about Chaos Space Marines,
Yeah.
this formation.
Yeah. This one formation has rekindled my love for my very dusty Chaos Space Marine. So I've been working on some stuff for that. I'm also working on like a kit bashed, heavily converted Space Marine army. With the Librarian Conclave, and this just happened to come out at the same time. So now my bikes work for 2 armies.
Yeah, which is good.
It's really cool.
It's now let's don't get me wrong, the Librarian Conclave of White Scars is better in every way.
Way better, but this
Yeah,
is
because
still
you give it the Hunter's Eye, they have hit and run, they harness on a 2+. But thinking in the vacuum that is Chaos Space Marines, this just put them up. Like this
yeah,
formation,
This
put them
alone
up
is
middle
it's a
tier
force multiplier.
for sure. Cool. So we're gonna move on to I think it's the second last or
Yep.
last
I
formation.
gotta step away for 1 second. Take it away.
Woohoo! So Black Legion Warband. I definitely kind of like this one, but it's 1 Chaos Lord, 0 to 1 sorcerers, 2 to 6 units of Chaos Space Marines are chosen, which is okay. 1 to 3 units of Terminators are possessed. I generally take 1 unit of Terminators anyway, so that's kind of good. 1 to 3 units of Raptors, Warp Talons, or Bikers. I generally include Bikers, so I kind of look at that as it's not a lot of tax. And then 1 to 3 units of Havocs or Hellbrutes in any combination. These guys get Favor of the War Master. So when they roll on the boon table, they roll twice, and you pick and they get both results, unless it's a duplicate, and then you roll again. And they get Thirst for Glory, which is if an enemy unit is completely destroyed by a unit from this warband, all their units get to reroll to hit and to wound of 1s till the end of the phase. So it's pretty good if you're doing like a mass kind of shooting army, but so this is the thing that really bothers me about this, because like I run a similar CAD to this warband, and I'm basically giving up objective secured on a couple of my units for reroll 1s if I kill an enemy unit. And so I don't know if that's worth it. And then of course I am taking I like Havocs, but they are expensive, but like there's a few things that maybe you might not want in here. But so it's kind of weird. It's just like I almost feel like this is just a CAD with a slight gimmick. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
I'd rather
it's a worse CAD. It's a worse CAD. Yeah. Now,
I hate to be down on it because I loved all the other formations, but it is a bad CAD.
We did miss one formation here.
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I did. I meant to check.
Now, to be fair, this one's barely worth talking about.
it's not. I wanted this one to be so good, and I tried to make a few because I love Demon Princes, as I said earlier, and
Yeah.
I like Possessed, but the models are, let's face it, are pretty garbage. So you get one Demon Prince, 2 to 5 units of Possessed. They get Advanced Possession, which is basically units of Possessed have Weapon Skill Initiative 5, which is good. And they get Rending, which is even better because Possessed are that's what Possessed should have, really. Um, and any unit though that's not within range of the Demon Prince only moves d6 inches, and they have to stay within 18 inches of the Demon Prince, which isn't really that hard to do. Um, it's I don't know. It's not bad because it makes Possessed where they should be for their point cost. So you're basically getting a free rule of nothing, and then you have to keep the Prince near them. And even though I love Princes, it's not the most optimal unit in the game right
It's
now. It's
it's terrible when you need a formation to make you like the baseline of what you should be.
Yeah, like if Possessed were weapon skill initiative +1, which would put them both at 5, I think, in both,
Yeah,
and then Rending, they would actually be a
they'd be
decent in
passable.
the Land Raider with a Chaos Lord because that's a lot of attacks. And depending on what ability you roll for them, like they could become cavalry, I do believe. Or is that only in the old Crimson Slaughter book?
I've paid so little attention how bad they.
That would be in the old Crimson Slaughter book, I do believe. They had some in the old Crimson Slaughter book. They were like they had a, that's this is okay. This is the part that really bothers me about this supplement is that they have Possessed in like every formation, and Possessed aren't a Black Legion thing. Like when they had when these codices first came out, it's like a Possessed or like a Crimson Slaughter, um, Word Bearers thing. And so like I understand that yes, Black Legion have those units in them, but it was always like that's not what Black Legion are good for. Black Legion are good for Chosen and Terminators and like Abaddon. And I feel like some of these formations are just formations they wrote and they don't actually fit with the theme of the army. Like this Tormented belongs in the other book.
Yeah,
100% it does. And like there's no formation of like maybe Chosen should have Scout. They used to have it. Like make a formation where Chosen gets Scout if you take like 4 units of them or something. So that's my rant. I like it. I like this book a lot though, but that was my little like that formation doesn't fit.
so let's finish this section off with the question, and I think we've both given our answer to this. Does this book help Chaos Space Marines?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, in every way. It's formations, which are always good. And I know people bag on bad formations all the time online, and we do a little bit too, but we try not to all the time. And they're great. They add an element to the book that allows you to take a fluffier thing. Like let's say you already took a Forge Fiend and a Mauler Fiend and a Warp Smith. Well, you just get free rules for that now. Like that's what I love about it is like, well, it rewards the guys that take suboptimal choices, and sometimes it forces the good choices to take attacks to make them better, which I like a tax unit or something.
I think in the vacuum of Chaos Space Marines, this book is fantastic. It gives a lot of new toys, which is really what we needed. I know Will and I were geeking out when we found out about this new stuff. Unfortunately, it's not quite what we hoped for, but I think it's got something for everyone, right? It's got the fluffy formations. It's got the stuff that you run in the basement with your buddies, and then it's got. I mean, admittedly, only one thing, but it's got something for competitive lists as well with the
Well, I say
Cyclopean.
two things. That Eternal War item, 100%
Oh well,
belongs in
you already had
competitive
that
list.
before though.
And then the Cyclopean Cabal is fantastic. So that alone, like one good, like how many good formations were in the Tau book? Two? The Montcalm book, was there two good Tau ones? How many good guard ones was there? There was one good guard
There
one?
was one good guard one. Tau got just in total. I mean, got ripped. Brana formation,
Ah, okay, you're good.
optimized
Yeah,
stealth cadre, ghost keel wing. A lot,
yeah.
a lot.
So they got a lot, but generally, like the Orc one, there was like one good formation in the Orc
Yeah,
line.
yeah. I
There's
mean, one is
so
about par for anything that's not Space Marines.
yeah. Well, even the new Space Marine book, which is what like most of those are not like. There's like
Oh
one or
yeah,
two
you're not
good
taking it for the
formations in there.
formations. There's
Yeah,
some other
yeah.
goodies in there.
So
All
all in
right.
all, Black Legion book. Is it a buy or a? Is it a buy? Is it a pirate? Like this is like our
Oh,
rating.
this is gonna be our scale. It's ignore by pirate.
But yeah, buy pirate or ignore.
Uh, if I was to dust off my Chaos Space Marines, like I'm thinking this one. So I when I buy stuff, I buy the ebooks. I don't like. copies of anything.
I don't buy.
I think it's like a $20 ebook or something.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still not sold on the pricing for this. Like, I don't care about the fluff, right? I care about the rules. If they did a gamer edition like they've done with a lot of the 40K stuff, I think that'd be awesome. Get like I'd pay $10 for this. Let's put it that way. I'd pay $10 for this for the data slates. 20, 25 if I don't want to read the fluff. It's
So
not
a
worth it.
pirate, and then you just accidentally drop $10 in the GW till. Okay. I think it's a buy. If you're a Chaos Space Marine player, it takes your sixth edition Codex book, and it basically gives you some new options. It gives you some new stuff. I love that they gave it to you for free if you had the ebook already bought legally. Well, I guess you can only buy it legally. It does suck if you bought the hardcover of it, but then again, you have a whole bunch of beautiful hardcovers on your shelf, and you just add one more, and you just get a bigger shelf. So yeah, I like it a lot. Cool. So I guess we can move on to the next segment of the show, which would be
Hit my list.
Pimp My List. So we got an email several weeks ago from a listener, and sorry it took so long, but obviously Adepticon and I think it was the Demon Book that actually
Yeah.
took a lot of our time.
We've been busy.
We've been busy dudes, and so this is from Tim. And he wants us to pimp his Black Templar list, or at least just talk about. Like we're not, we're gonna say sometimes it gets repetitive, blah blah blah. But we're just gonna talk about his list, like we've done it before. So basically, it's an Emperor's Champion, 140 points. He has an AP2 weapon, good in close
AP2 plus
combat.
2 strength, master crafted, 2 plus armor save, 4 plus invulnerable save. Gets to reroll to hit and I think to wound in challenges, but has to challenge or accept challenges. He's a baller.
Yeah, he's pretty good for 140 points in combat, which is the goal of the list,
Yeah.
to make a close combat list. Next one is he has a Crusader squad, which is basically their tactical squad. It has 5 initiatives, close combat weapons and bolt pistols, because he's going with the close combat theme. Power weapon. What's an MG?
Eltagun.
Sorry, I knew that. I'm just retarded. And a Rhino. He has 2 units of them, which is kind of neat. He has a Terminator Assault Squad, Thunderhammer Storm Shields, Land Raider Crusader, Terminator Assault Squad, Thunderhammer Storm Shields in a Storm Raven. He has a Thunderfire Cannon, and he has a Thunderstrike Kill Team Vanguard Squad. So what does that do?
Shadow Strike Kill Team. So these are the guys, you get 2 units
Oh,
of
I said Thunderstrike Kill
Yeah.
Team. Why did I do that?
So it's two units of scouts and 1, 2, 3, I think, units of veteran vanguards.
Yep.
The scouts are scouts. The veteran vanguards. This is actually pretty cool. They get to choose to pass or fail their reserve roll, which is awesome. And if they deep strike within 9 inches of the scouts, they don't scatter, and they can charge turn they come in from.
Yeah, I
So,
like it a
you get a
lot.
deep
The
stri-
scouts have infiltrate.
Yeah, it's a deep striking, charging veteran squad, which is pretty cool. And they are Raven Wings. They get shrouded when they come in if it's on turn 1 or 2. So turn 2 in that case. It's good. It's actually really good.
So the thing I like about that unit is like they're gonna come in and I'm like they're either gonna charge something, kill it, or they're gonna die. But that is the beauty of that. It's like, okay, my scouts are in your face infiltrating, and normally people would ignore your scouts till late game, but they know that your scouts are gonna bring in these assaulting troops within 9 inches, like without the scatter. So like, I gotta kill your scouts, bro. So
Yeah.
your scouts are in cover or they're hidden behind line of sight up in the board. And then it's like they absorb a lot of firepower because they go to ground, which could be really good. If you had a Tech Marine in the list, which he doesn't, you could bolster some of that terrain for your
Oh, you don't even
scouts
need
to
to,
keep
right? 'Cause
alive.
they've got shrouded.
Oh, they got
from
shrouded
Raven
turn
Wings.
1
You
and
got a
2.
2+ in ruins.
Yeah, you don't even need that guy, man. I'm retarded. But yeah, you put him in ruins, go to ground, done. You're alive, right? It's unless you're playing Tau, but it's super cool. And then of course your Terminators are driving up in a Land Raider, which is going to absorb a ton of firepower. So it's like, do I shoot your scouts? Do I shoot your Land Raider? Like, what do I do? And then this is the one that kind of kills. The Storm Raven comes in. You better hope you don't miss that reserve roll on that guy, because if he comes in turn 3, your stuff's already there turn 2, and you essentially have 400 points not taking part till like turn 4. And it's not objective secured. Usually, two things that come in turn 4 are like to grab objectives and stuff. So that's the only part that doesn't fit in to me in this rush combat list. I love Thunderfire cannons; they're excellent, some fire support, but it is some points not going into the enemy combat.
Yeah,
But
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, just taking this for what we've got here, I don't think the Thunderfire cannon adds too much. If you're gonna take Thunderfires, in my opinion, you take multiples of them. were
Well,
for
they're
the.
always good. Like let's face it, they're always good.
They're
But
good.
they get better when you take like a unit of three with Tigerius, who gives them
Yes.
rending, and then you maybe take two more solo ones to kind of pick off little units because you don't want to invest 900 points in Thunderfire cannons, but or
Yeah.
you you
Yeah.
might.
I think there's some better ways you can find those points. So Chris, what are your suggestions on
So
keeping the
if
theme? Keeping the theme.
yeah, it's close combat, and the Crusader squads are nice. They're basically your OBSEC squads and rhinos to take objectives. That's what they are. It's good. I was kind of like maybe just take some scouts instead and put more money into the assault troops. But then again, you already have like who wants to own 30 scouts? I don't know. So that was the one thing is I was like those Crusader squads. They kind of look like 260 points of like meh to me, or 100. I think it's 130 in total for two of them.
130. No, it's
Yeah,
130 each.
yeah.
There's
Because
70
there's
points
70,
plus
100.
the power weapon plus the multi gun plus the rhino.
I would honestly drop the power weapon
Yep.
and add a plasma gun and use them as objective scorers and not as like run them up there turn one because maybe you'll need them, but be prepared to jump them back and stuff because that's what they're good for. I think the Storm Raven should be replaced with another Land Raider and just run the double Land Raiders up the middle. Logan will make that even better. It's just because, as I said, if you screw up that reserve roll for the a Storm Raven, that's 400 points not hitting your enemy when the first Land Raider does and the Shadow Strike kill team. And those 400 points, if they're not hitting your enemy, would be better spent in units that come in and take objectives.
Yep.
That's the only advice I would give the list. I don't really like to say, oh, buy this, buy that, change this. But I think you need to think about that, how it plays on the board. And I guess you could start the Storm Raven on the board.
No, you can't.
Oh, because you
You
can't
can't.
start
It has to be
assuming
in reserves.
that's an Eldar only thing. Um, because the Lynx can. Ridiculous.
Fair and
Uh,
balanced.
but yeah, so that's the. I don't like that. But you know what? You probably have one painted. It's probably beautiful. So I don't want to say that either. But
Yeah.
cool, Logan. What's your advice?
So actually, I had another list that I was talking about with Chris beforehand, which is using the Land Raider Spearhead. But going back to this, I think just running the two Land Raiders is going to be the better option. Give them some Dozer Blades.
Can they take them now?
I think they can. I know the Chaos ones can. Even if
Because
they can't,
I got in trouble at a fifth ed tournament because I said that my Land Raider had dozer blades and it didn't. I'm
okay.
allowed to take them.
Well, either way, drop the Storm Raven. I'm with Chris on that. I think it adds too much chance to a list where you need everything to come in and just punch stuff to death right away.
It's a 3+, but like even then, if you make that 3+, it's not hitting your opponent line until turn 4, and you really want the 3 assault units and 2 Terminator units in their grill turn 2, period, or you're
You
doomed,
need
right?
everything there. Yeah. So drop that. Take a second Land Raider. I'm a big fan of the Redeemers just because they melt everything. But the Crusaders are always a good choice as well. For the two Crusader squads, I'd say run them naked. Just have them on foot. Don't take Melt a Gun. Don't take Power Weapon. Maybe take the Rhinos. I'd honestly say probably get rid of them.
It's like what I
it
do with
depends
my
how the points
sisters,
work out.
right?
But
So like with my sister's army, I took a CAD, 2 units of 5 in rhinos, and I would just sit the rhino behind like ruins for the 4+ cover. And when they blew up my rhino, I would use the rhino wreck to
yeah,
hide my models so you could never shoot them. And then by the time you would get them, I'd have like 2 models left on an objective, and it would be like turn
yeah,
6.
taking the Rhinos for them isn't a bad choice. It gives you 4 OPSEC units basically, which is nice. But yeah, definitely run them naked. The Terminators, basically the same loadout. I'd say take two with the Lightning Claws, or take the Sergeant with the Lightning Claws. Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, whatever you can fit for the points for it. But
But
yeah,
you can get a chaplain in that Crusader unit, like
yeah,
a chaplain to reroll to hit. So I got super excited because I love Black Templars because I started in third ed. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I'm like super excited about this. I love Black Templars, but their rules are not the best right now. But they have that one chaplain dude with the 4 servitors that give everybody within 6 inches, every unit, feel no pain, and what's it called? Feel no pain and Crusader, I think it is. So the wicked part about that is I was thinking like it'd be really neat to put him in a Land Raider and then put like big blobs of Crusader squads, like do the 20 of them on each side of the Land Raider, kind of running up the board with them. But the only issue with that guy is when you take the servitors, he loses his independent character, in which case he can no longer join any units. Then you just have this crappy unit buffing that can die easily. So I was trying to really figure some stuff out for you there that was kind of tricksy, but I kind of lost on that. Another thing that wouldn't hurt is hit and run in your Terminator squads. So I was thinking, if you're going to drop the Storm Raven out of Land Raider, you actually need to cut 50 points. So you drop the Thunderfire Cannon, then you have
Yeah.
50
Oh
extra
yeah. The Thunderfire
points.
cannon goes away. I think it has
And
to.
then you need to drop a few more points, so you might drop the Rhinos. Then I would take like an allied detachment with a White Scars Chaplain and a Scout Squad. Put him in your Super Killy unit so that they get to reroll to hit and hit and run.
I got one other thing. Apologize for the clicks if you're listening to this. Have to check something. For the initiates, they are just the normal tactical squad cost, right?
Yes, there's
They're
70
70
points.
points. Okay. So
But
I'm
it's
gonna
only
see.
10 points to add in the scouts to that unit too. So if you wanted to make it like 7 man, 30 points adds 3 scouts in.
So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see if it fits, and if it does, it's gonna be amazing. 230. Sorry, just doing some quick math here.
But all in all, man, I like the
1420.
list, and I do like that you're saying I'm gonna go with this Black Templar thing. I love the rules. I have the models. I was even considering putting a Librarius Conclave in, like dropping something and being like, put in a Librarius Conclave for hit and run, get some mastery levels. Because one of the downsides to Black Templar is they have a rule where any Black Templar detachments cannot take a Psyker. But
Yeah.
it just didn't fit in your list. With the Land Raiders, you don't want Psychers in them, and you want them up with your army for the hit and run, and it just didn't work out.
So if you can shave off some points on the Vanguard, which I think is probably the best place to lose points if you're going to do this, you could do something like this. I think it's tight on points, but I think you can pull it off. Take the Emperor's Champion, the 2 units of Assault Terminators, the same way they're kitted out, both in Land Raider Redeemers, just to shave off a couple points. Drop the Storm Raven, drop the Thunderfire Cannon, take your Shadow Strike kill team, and take a absolute minimum cost Skyhammer Annihilation. Your guys come
Ooh,
in, you're denying their Overwatch because even if they pass the leadership, the 3d6 leadership test, they can't Overwatch. If they
yeah.
fail, they're pinned. You've got 2 assault squads there. I think you end up maybe a couple points to spare. You've got the 2 assault squads that can go in, maybe tie stuff up for a turn, as long as the whole unit doesn't die, right? They can't get wiped out. So you're tying down 1 or 2 units there, and then turn 2, you're coming in, and you're just hitting with absolutely everything.
And the cool part about that is, like, I always thought about that the Shadow Strike and a Skyhammer, because you can choose Skyhammer to come in turn two.
Yeah, you could bring in everything on turn 2.
So if you look at your opponent's army, you go, oh, you can't pop my one. Let's say you only have one Land Raider, even, right? You don't want to buy a second one. That's cool because your list right now is fantastic. It's fine. It's good enough. You'll win some games with it, and you'll learn to play it better. But like, think about like, I didn't mean it. That sounded condescending. I didn't mean it condescending. I just meant like, this list is good enough that if you played it a lot, you would probably start to beat people with it like consistently and play at a top or a high tier because it does everything. But I was just going to say, like, take the Inquisitor with the 3 skulls. That way, you're minusing d6 from your scatter. So if your scouts do get killed, when the Shadow Strike guys come in, they are minimizing their scatter, and your Sky Hammers minus d6 to its scatter. So those Assault Marines can basically charge turn 1 or 2. I agree with that. So I know we went nuts with your list, and you're probably like, man, they told me to do everything. But
It's
I would
ideas.
say if this is the models you have, play it like this, and then try it with a proxy a Skyhammer, throw it in, proxy a second Land Raider, throw it in, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So cool. So that's that. What's next on our?
What's next on our agenda? We go into questions. Q&A. So if you are in the chat and you have any questions for us, feel free to fire them off. We'll get to them, as long as we don't get a million of them. But yeah, if you have questions in the chat, fire them up there. We've got a couple that got emailed in that we'll go over to start. So our first question is from Leon, one of our regulars. Can drones on a vehicle overwatch? He thinks yes, but is wondering because of the point defense system, which is vehicle upgrade, which explicitly states that drones can overwatch. So I looked
I
at
think they can't because I don't think they're. I don't think they count as embarked. This is me, like my speculation. Then because you've looked it up more, so they don't count as pass. They don't count as embarked. They're basically part of the tank until they pop off.
so In fact, the attached drone rule explicitly says that they are treated as passengers in the vehicle that
Oh.
are embarked and use their normal line of sight from where they're mounted on the vehicle as their own fire points.
I know he told me that before the show, and I was just
Uh,
kind of trying to feed him. But
so there is no ruling stating that they can't Overwatch because they do count as embarked units and they have their own fire points. There's no reason they cannot Overwatch. That said, the point defense system is a bit strange that it calls it out. But the way I read it, and again I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, feel free to say so in the chat or email us, tweet at us, whatever. My impression from reading through and doing a little digging is they can Overwatch anyway, and the point defense system is completely redundant as far as the drone.
yeah, there might be something in there, but so hopefully we'll get a concrete answer on that. But Logan's right. Like it seems to be right. So what's the
That
next
said,
one?
keep in mind as well, the point defense system adds other stuff. Like it allows the vehicle, so it's not useless upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, which is good enough, right?
All right, so the next question: what will build a more competitive force, Crimson Slaughter or Black Legion?
Mm. So we haven't talked about the Crimson Slaughter formations. You go first because you know what my answer is.
Yeah, so I think Chris and I have opposite answers on this, but we're both in agreement that they're both cool things. Mine is Black Legion for sure. I am really excited about the Cyclopia Cabal for what it can do for Chaos, just the tools it brings. Um, there's like I'm still going to use the Crimson Slaughter book for my other stuff. Like the way I'm designing the list for this is it's Crimson Slaughter, Black Legion, and Khorne Demonkin. So it takes the best of everything there. But yeah, I think if you're just picking and choosing individual pieces here, I think Black Legion has the most to offer between Cyclopia Cabal and Skull of Kurnagar.
Yeah.
Crimson Slaughter, just from the old book, right? The Demon Heart is the one thing in that I love. But yeah, what
So
do you think, Chris?
I think Crimson Slaughter. I think that the overall it has maybe two or three formations that are more usable, whereas the Black Legion really has the best formation out of the two. Um, Crimson Slaughter has some formations that I absolutely love. A lot of Feel No Pain, a lot of Horde units with Feel No Pain, a lot of Fearless and units that generally have shitty leadership. Like the Black Legion book is buffing things that they already are good at, whereas the Crimson Slaughter one I think actually buffs units to their weaknesses. So we'll cover that in a later show. But I love the cultist formations with Feel No Pain. They can go in cover, go to ground, score objectives. I like to focus on scoring objectives, and I feel that man, you gotta stop typing.
Yeah,
It's
sorry,
driving
we're
me
dropping
nuts.
some frames on the stream. Just apologizing to the chat there.
Oh, okay, so he's doing admin work.
Yep.
Um, but anyway, I just feel that it's overall it's a better influence to it. But he's right. Black Legion has the best formation.
All right. Next question, and we're not going to spend too much time on this one because I know what it is. It's just how did Angels of Death come out at the same time as these books? Like, what were they thinking?
Like
It's rough. Like chaos continues to get the short end of the straw or the short straw for sure.
I don't think it was all like that. I think that the Chaos was always scheduled to come out around this time. They had them published and they're getting ready. And then I honestly believe that Angels of Death book is for the 30th anniversary of Space Marines. They wanted to do a Space Marine update. The awesome part about the Angel of Death book is it also updates some of the gray area formations like
Yeah,
Skyhammer
Skyhammer.
Annihilation Force. There's a few other ones. It kind of consolidates all the miscellaneous formations. I see it more as like an index. Is that the old thing? No, it's like a chapter approved book.
Yeah,
It kind of just takes the Space Marine stuff, adds some new stuff, and puts it all together. Now, did Marines need a bunch of crazy psychic powers? God no, but they got them. So
yeah. It's there. Yeah, it's a bit tough as a chaos player to see that come out at the same time. That's what it is.
yeah.
Sort of accept that chaos gets the short straw these days.
This
Uh,
next one just makes me violent. I'm just sorry.
uh oh,
If
John. All
So
right,
this one
three.
is. Do you want me to do it? If a tournament requests that you submit lists in a certain format, how hard is it to follow that simple instructions? Was that from Green?
That was from.
All Green, you little bum.
So the context behind this, just so nobody thinks it's too salty, it's salty as. But before anybody goes too crazy, so John Green is the TO for the CanHammer team coming up, and for a list submission for this, we had to do EC style. Now, this is fantastic because it's pure list review start, so other teams are grading other people's lists, and it's all open list, so everyone gets copies of everyone's list in the player. So it's very important to get that sort of setup.
it's easier to
Um,
read in the right, like if all the lists are in the same format, you can, it's easy to read. I know
exactly,
some people
it's
said
easy
that
to go
format
through.
sucks, but
Yeah, it's easy to
whatever.
go through. Now, where it gets a bit weird is the ETC list format is very, very different from anything that any other tools make. Like, if you're looking at Army Builder, Battle Scribe, Quartermaster, whatever, none of it translates over to this. So basically, you have to type this up by hand, and it's a pain in the ass.
I
But
don't think that. I think it's excellent for
I
people.
think it's horrendous. I think there are way better ways it could be formatted. But the fact that every list is in the same format is makes it worthwhile. Now,
So
as
I just wanted to comment on this. I actually generally type up my own lists for every tournament because I have been burned in the past with Army Builder and Quartermaster having incorrect point values. And so if you have to think about it, this list requirement came out of the ETC, which was meant to be like perfect lists. So by typing them up manually, you take out a lot of the errors when they're checked. And as, of course, the format's consistent and it takes up less paper when you print them. So I just think that people, and the thing that drives me nuts is like you give them the instruction and they just don't follow it. And you're just like, it's got to be malicious or they just don't care. And that's the part that bothers me about it is I'm like, because it's really like, it's very clear. And I know some of the people said, well, the example, there's a comma in this one and there's the list errors that we're talking about are not commas and colons and semicolons that are different. They're like we asked for a list format and people submitted like PDFs of Army Builder.
yeah, yeah,
So
well, yeah. There's
that's
just
what
not
it's come
giving a
from.
shit, and then there's the format. I mean, the format has problems, right? Like one of the biggest things that was tough to draw from the example, so it created inconsistencies, is that there's no notation for how many models you have in a unit. So
I know that
it's
drove me
pure guesswork.
nuts.
You have like if you don't know the point cost or everything, you have to open the book. You have to double check, triple check everything.
Yeah.
It's way too much work to validate for that, which is tough. So and that's probably just because it's an early version of the pack. I don't know, but it's been around for a long time. Like I'm surprised
But
they
if
didn't do it more clearly. But
yeah,
that's an ETC thing. That's not a reflection on John. Like the goal of this was to take what ETC does and do it here. So
yeah, and that's fine.
that's
I'm
the
sure
type of
they'll
thing.
fix it in the future. But yeah, he has a good point. So the next one is I have a couple of questions. One, what's the meta in Age of Sigmar? Two, I literally cannot decide on my first competitive army. I hate Eldar, so no. I run Chaos Space Marines. So do you know who that was?
Yeah, that was Omega in the chat.
Who's Omega? Do we know?
He's a Canadian dude. Not sure who he is, but he is a regular. I've seen him in here a couple times. So
Okay,
he also says, also I like to be the underdog and use underused lists.
so sweet. So I'll start with the first one. What is the? Sorry for that squeak. What is the meta in Age of Sigmar? So the meta is kind of like 40K. You take the best stuff in each book. So I don't know how to describe the meta in Age of Sigmar, but I can tell you approximately what you're going to see in the top tier list from each faction. So if you're looking at the Chaos faction, you're generally going to see a Hell Cannon or two. South Coast GT did ban Legacy Scrolls, so there's no more Hell Cannons, but those are a big one. You'll see Hell Cannon. In my tournament, you'll see one because they're 0 to 1 on all legacies. You'll see a Lord of Change because he has Gateway, which is a nasty spell for doing mortal wounds. You'll probably see 1 to 2 spell familiars for the Lord of Change to boost his casting. Um, that's generally you'll see that, and then you'll see other things that go along with it, like the
Skull cannons
support
are really
units.
good.
I didn't see a lot of them because the Hell Cannon took the artillery spot for that
It
kind of.
depends on the comp. Depends on the comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but those are the main things from Chaos. You'll also see like some Bloodbound Rush armies because that's the new thing. But that's generally what you'll see at the filth list. What are the ones? Flamers of Zinch in the Chaos are really nasty too. The next one was we'll go to Death. Is you'll see a lot of Tomb King stuff, which is a shame that a lot of that's now Legacy, so 0 to 1. So you get one of everything at my tournament. You'll see generally Kalita and a honkin' unit of archers. Nice big unit. You'll also see not a Cryptek. One of the Tomb
Colors.
King characters
Oh,
buffs the unit
yes.
innately. I
Yes.
forget his name.
Oh, crap. I know
So
exactly
it
what
doesn't
you're
matter what
talking
his name
about.
is, but there's Kalita, this character, and a big unit of archers. They all work really well together for the death. Like Nagash, if he's allowed, is fantastic. You'll see
Yeah,
him.
he's filthy.
Some of the chariots are okay for honking objectives and clearing stuff off. Catapults are pretty good as well. Depends on what the comp is, but you'll see a lot of that. The other big undead list is the net list, which is like the Strigoi Ghoulkin and all the ghouls and all the crypt horrors, and it's like this big buff bubble where everybody gets to attack twice, and they get all these bonuses.
Yep.
And you'll see usually Heinrich Kemmler because he's like impossible to kill. So if like there's an assassinate mission, you can pick Heinrich Kemmler, and you can't kill him. Just lots of like that's kind of what you'll see in the undead. If you're looking at destruction, you're going to see right now Mangler Squigs, Iron Guts are really fantastic. MSU units of Bull Ogres are fantastic as well because they're pretty hitty and they're fast. And Mornfang are actually like a super letdown. I'm not going to lie. Um, what else is in the destruction that's nasty? I can't think of anything else in destruction. That's like kind of the big things. And then you go to order, you'll generally see Stormcast. You'll see a unit of Paladins with a Knight Velexor for the teleport bomb. That's amazing. There's a reason that that shows up everywhere. Like 2/3 of the order lists have a Knight Velexor in them at South Coast GT. That was a stat that I'm quoting from Bad Dice that who knows if it's accurate or not. They even said we don't know, but that's what they said. In order, you'll also see my brother was really liking a lot of bolt throwers. He ran a lot of bolt throwers. He said they did a lot of work for him. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, Lizardmen stick out. Lord Croak is amazing for Lizardmen. You have to really kill him fast. Um, and there's a bunch of other stuff. I know I'm probably rambling on here, but any Lizardman's a Temple Guard or a staple in an Order army. And there's other things, but those are the big things you got to watch out for. And there's the what's the one with the solar engine on it? That's the guy you kill first.
Bastillodon. It's super good.
Bastillodon you kill
Bastillodon's
first.
really good.
There's a Lothern. There's that Sea Guard character that buffs all the shooting within range of him. Him with bolt throwers is nasty as well. But those are the big things that you see, and there's other filth. Like there's some of the Treeman stuff's really good too, but that's some of the big stuff that you'll see. That's for meta. And then the next one, I know that was a long answer, but I'm like really into Age of Sigmar right now. What was the next? What was the second part of that?
Second one, okay, cannot decide on his first competitive army. Hates Eldar, runs Chaos Space Marines. So I would say that this is sort of like the perfect time to keep going with the Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
So you've got options, right? Especially with Khorne Demonkin in there as well. You've got access to really cool stuff. Khorne Demonkin they're not a top tier army by any means. They're definitely, but they're a solid mid tier. Like
Yeah,
they
they're an
can
upper
win.
mid
They
tier.
have won tournaments. Like they are a good list. You've got lots of tools there. If you don't want to run, like a net list for it, just don't spam dogs. Like don't run core packs, and that's sort of all you need to worry about. The Bloodforged armor on Chaos Lords on Juggernauts are fantastic. You take one of those guys, you take a Chaos Lord from Crimson Slaughter, you give him Demon Heart, you give him the Thunder Power Fist Lightning Claw on a Juggernaut, you take one from Black Legion, you give him Eternal Warrior, Adamantium Will, toss him on a Juggernaut or run a Nurgle one, whatever. Put them in units of dogs or spawn or run them on foot in Land Raiders. You've got tons of options. You throw some Forge World in there, you get the Fire Raptor, Plague Hulks. Like there's so much cool stuff you can take with these guys. Now there's Knights.
Knights, demons.
Yeah, you get Battle Brothers with demons. You can't join units, unfortunately, but
You don't need to.
you can you get the buff from you get all the psychic power, right? Like Chaos is a really good psychic army now. Toss some Pig Horrors in there, just boost up some dice. You take Fate Weaver, your Battle Brother, so he's buffing you, he's giving you Shrouded, he's giving you Fizz, he's throwing beams everywhere. It's a good time to play Chaos. So
Yeah.
he says, actually, I was thinking of running 2 Bloodthirsters, a Chaos Knight, and a Fleshhound Death Star with Cyclopia Cabal. There's nothing bad about that.
D-thirsters, right?
Oh yeah, you have to take the D3. There is no other. There's no other blood.
But like if you take a really big cabal, you could like double invis those D-thirsters, and then if you get first turn and you double invis them, you're gonna win in certain comps.
Well, you have to take 2 units. You can't cast the same spell twice. But
Well, they're not a unit, the cabal.
no, they aren't. But if you put them all into this Death Star, I mean, but yeah, you take the.
Oh no, you would split them up.
You split them up. But in that scenario, also keep in mind because you're putting them in with Fleshhounds, right? You're moving 12 inches with these guys. They're on bikes. More mosquitoes in here. Yeah, they're on bikes. They're moving up. They're moving as fast as the D-Thirster is going if you keep them on the ground. Put a Shrouding Bubble up because you've got like every spell on Telepathy. You've got 2+ Jinking D-Thirsters, and you've got a Death Star full of Force Weapons and Power Fists. And then you've got the Night Crusader sitting in the back, where you're taking the Chaos Knight, and he's invisible. He's running up as Khorne as well, blowing stuff up. Like it's not the best, but damn is it fun. Like you can
Yeah.
have so much fun with chaos right now.
And you don't even have to do the Crusader Knight. Like if you're going for that combat theme, take the combat knights.
Yeah, you can even
Why
get the
not? They're
double.
the
Yeah,
cheapest. They're like what,
three twenty five,
325?
three twenty
So
five. Yep.
for 650 you get two of them. That's like they're the worst knight, but if you're going for combat chaos, it could be cool. Yeah, I think right now is a really good time to be a chaos player because that new demon stuff is also good.
Yeah, like you're still
And
gonna.
these new books are great too.
Yeah, you're still gonna have trouble with some lists, right? Like chaos is still gonna have a hard time against Eldar. They're still gonna have a hard time against demons. They're still gonna have a hard time against Necrons. A little bit less now, but they'll still have a bit of a tough time. But this, it gives them tools to deal with stuff. Like Tau is still going to be really, really hard, but you can basically neuter those storm surges and get rid of all the marker lights in one turn now. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Stealth cheese though, Ravenwing in the USA meta are not represented, and I think they're the most underrated book in the American scene right now. So like if you want to be a guy that shows up with something that people don't think super amazing, but they think's okay, you could do the Ravenwing spam as well if you want to move away from chaos, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So cool. We'll move on from that one. Next one is who's going to win CanHammer team tournament? Who asked that question?
that was Mr. Green.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, my money's on Team One Plus Armor.
So you think your team's going to win?
I hope we do well. I think we've got a pretty good shot. It depends on who we match up against with, but we've been going through our matchups and we have yet to find a match that we lose, which is nice. We've got some very close ones though. Like it's if we play the way we're predicting we're going to play and do our matchups, we have a potential run for the top, but there are a couple killers.
Wow.
But
So
I'm gonna put money in myself.
yeah, I would do the same as well, but I'm not going to. I think London's going to win it. I definitely think they're going to be because they're going to be both painted well. They're going to win most of their rounds. They're going to be prepared.
Yeah,
My money's on London.
That's Dan and Mike and those guys.
Loaded dice, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're the powerhouse for sure. I think they are the favorites to win. I think we can give them a run for their money, but they are by far the favorites.
Oh, I don't know, man. My team's a bunch of well-seasoned veterans of
Well,
the
seasoned
40K.
vets. One guy who's played 2 games. Yeah,
One guy who just got second last at a tournament, and then like the two previous got like second
and
last
you're
with his
playing an army you've
Tyranids.
never played.
And I'm playing Nurgling spam demons. Well, that's why I'm taking it, right? Like,
You're gonna
and
have you are gonna have so much fun.
well, I know I like the princes. I should have done Chaos Space Marines. Now that I think about it, because the shame is that these books came out too late, so they're not allowed. Because otherwise, I would definitely play Chaos Space Marines.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, any more questions, or is that everything?
I think that's the last thing we got. Omega says he will send in his list and we can pimp it for him.
Where does he live? Just ask Omega where he lives.
He's in Milton.
Milton. Okay, because he sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I probably don't know him, but so and we're gonna go on to the end of show. Thanks for the question and answer, guys. Thanks for all of your feedback. Thanks for listening. If you have any more feedback or any army lists that you want pimped, email canhammer.podcast@gmail.com. We did just go ham on that Black Templar list. Sometimes we're really mellow with lists, but that one got us really excited because it's a different Marine list, and the Templars are a very cool chapter.
They are. They're really cool.
Yeah. So as I said before, oneplusarmor.com for more information about events we run. Check out capitalcbloodbath.com for AOS or 40K. Preferably AOS, because Logan's running 40K. And with that, I guess we'll have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.